San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy, Thursday? Thursday to everybody out there in America's finest city. It's a beautiful day yet again here in San Diego. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3. The Fan. We got a jam-packed show again today, as we're going to talk some Padres baseball. Padres made a move last night. We'll talk about that here shortly. We will also, it worked out perfectly, 30 teams in 30-ish days. Blind squirrel finds a nut. Frank was on it.
Allez de toi.
Jason Beck, Tigers beat writer for MLB.com, will join us.
Bottom of this hour.
At the bottom of this hour. We can figure out exactly what's going on in Detroit, because that was the other big news that happened in baseball yesterday. Was everybody's still waiting? I think still waiting. I haven't seen yet what the numbers are for the arbitration case for Tarek Skubal. Still waiting on that. And while everybody was waiting on that, because Wednesday they had the arbitration hearing for Tarek Skubal, you know what the Tigers did? They went out there and signed Framber Valdez. They decided to give him $40 million a year. Hey, hang on a second. The Tigers have the best pitcher in baseball, one of. It's either him or Skeens, I think. And honestly, Tarek Skubal, the year he had last year, I think he's probably better than Skeens. But, you know, you want to get into a debate about that, go argue with a sign. I don't really care. The point of the argument is he is one of the best pitchers in baseball. And just for the case of argument, we're going to say he's the best pitcher in baseball. So on Wednesday, the Tigers spent the entire day arguing why the best pitcher in baseball should only get $19 million. And then they went and signed another pitcher who's not Tarek Skubal. He's good. He's not Tarek Skubal. And they gave him officially now, or it looks like, $38.3 million a year. But they won't give the best guy in baseball $32 million. That tells me a lot. I mean, if they're already arguing that in arbitration, what gave them the idea to sign Framber Valdez to a 3-year, $115 million contract? What does that tell you? I mean, are they going to pay him $38 million? And they just had to change their heart? Like, yeah, it's okay. Like, we got to pay Tarek Skubal $32 million. Now let's add $38 million on with Framber Valdez. Maybe they're all in. I'd be shocked if Skubal and Framber Valdez are on the same team, making $38 million and $32 million. I would be shocked at that. If Skubal's only making 19, it makes a lot more sense. Or the Tigers pivoted, lost their arbitration, which we don't know, and we're like, all right, well, we don't need this $32 million anymore for one more year. Let's trade this guy out of here, and then let's sign a guy that we can have for the next two years, maybe 3 with the player option. Maybe that was the thought process there. I don't know. I find this to be fascinating, and what a better time to have the 30 teams in 30-ish days with the Detroit Tigers today. It'll be great. But most people want to talk about the Miguel Andujar signing, and I do too. Pertains to us a little bit more. I think the drama of the Framber Valdez, Tarek Skubal situation is interesting. This is the best part about doing the talk show, Frank. You get we talk about all the tea and the inside drama of these things. It's great. I love this. What is going on in Detroit? We'll find out at 10:30. Let's talk about Miguel Andujar. San Diego Padres got a bat last night. I don't think it's the only bat they're going to get, but they did get a bat last night. His name's Miguel Andujar. They're giving him a 1-year, $4 million AAV. Now, here's the deal. Based on some of the reports that we got, the contract's worth $4 million towards the AAV, but he's only getting 1.5 in 2026. And then there's the mutual option, which tells me that he's got a buyout. Yeah, he's probably got a buyout coming. He does. He's got a buyout of $2.5 million if they don't agree on the mutual option. So he signs like a 1-year, $4 million, but only $1.5 million he's getting this year, which frees up some money for this year's payroll in comparison to like the luxury tax. So again, another good signing, I think, for AJ Preller. You're only worried about $1.5 million towards him right now. Counts $4 million towards the luxury tax, but in terms of this year's finances, not that bad. In terms of what Miguel Andujar brings to the team, he is now a right-handed bat that you can add to this lineup that mashes lefties. We talked about that with Paul Goldschmidt, and we actually had this conversation a couple of weeks ago because AJ Cassavell had brought up the name Miguel Andujar in one of his newsletters about maybe being a fit for the Padres. Got to credit AJ Cassavell. He was on this pretty early. So Miguel Andujar, we went through the whole thing. Would you rather have Miguel Andujar? Would you rather have Paul Goldschmidt? Paul Goldschmidt's up there in age. Miguel Andujar is only 30 years old, right? You get a little bit young. You're looking for a right-handed first baseman to potentially platoon with Gavin Sheets. You don't really get that with Miguel Andujar because he's not a first baseman. Miguel Andujar plays both corner outfield spots. He could also play in the infield. So he's a utility guy, if you will, that could be a DH against lefties, that could give guys like Fernando a day off his legs, or if you move the infield around, you could give Bogarts a day off. You can give Laureano a day off. I mean, there's a lot of different guys that you could give a day off with Miguel Andujar in the lineup. So I don't mind the signing. I think it's good. I think you add a sneaky bat for $1.5 million this year, $4 million towards the luxury tax. And this is the type of player that you're in the market for right now to get extra bats. He's only had 4 career starts at first base. Wouldn't be surprised Miguel Andujar gets reps at first base. 0.8 WAR. He hit 10 home runs in 321 at-bats, drove in 44, had a stolen base, had a really decent, really solid season last year with the amount of games that he had played. And that was with Oakland and Cincinnati. I mean, he was a deadline pickup for Cincinnati. He had 359 with Cincinnati. Playing in that ballpark, huh? In 34 games. But he's a solid piece. And I don't think he's a starter, but I definitely think he is a guy that's going to be platooning and a guy that gets some reps, a guy that gets some spot starts against lefties. This is a good added piece to the Padres. And again, it's not adding a guy that's like 40 years old and way past his prime. Guy's 30 years old. He's had a decent career in Major League Baseball. Obviously, had that big season in 2018 when he was 23 years old. He hit 297 that year with an 855 OPS. Last year, had an 822 OPS. And I haven't started talking about the real reason why he's on the team is to hit lefties. Last season, in his 90 at-bats against left-handed pitching, Miguel Andujar hit 389 with a 409 on base, a 578 slug, and a 986 OPS. That was just last year. If you want to look at his career numbers against left-handed pitching, still really, really good. He has had 521 plate appearances against left-handed pitching. He's hitting 297 with a 332 on base, a 475 slug, and a career 807 OPS against left-handed pitching. Career 807 OPS against left-handed pitching, and last year had a 986 OPS against left-handed pitching. This is the production that you're looking for the Padres. Gavin Sheets did okay against left-handed pitching, but not great. You know, our guy, Auntie Want a Poodle on Too Much Morton's on Twitter, he put out the situation in which it would feel a lot more comfortable having Miguel Andujar up than Gavin Sheets. And it was the playoff game against the Cubs with the runner on third and Gavin Sheets up. Gavin Sheets was pressed into action to play against left-handed pitching because of the fact that Ramon Laureano was hurt. And he ends up popping up in a situation where you would probably like Miguel Andujar a little bit more than a guy like Gavin Sheets. AJ Preller mentioned that he was looking for somebody to complement Gavin Sheets at first base. I think he found a compliment, but I also don't think this is the end for the Padres. He said 1-2 more bats. I think with the flexibility of signing Andujar, they have the opportunity to bring in an extra bat. I think you could get another guy like Andujar, another low-level dollar spend. And you haven't even, again, the other thing about this, it's not like you have already spent the money that you might be getting if and when Yu Darvish voids his contract. That's also something to consider. If you're able to add a bat like this without even having to touch that particular fund and use that for pitching, you still got a lot to work with. So I like the move. I think it's a good move for the Padres. I think it adds some depth to this team. I think it's starting to come together a little bit. I still think they need another bat, and they could use one more pitcher. And we'll see what they have in store. But overall, gotta like the signing from yesterday. That's exactly what the Padres are in the market for. They have the stars. I don't know how many times I have to say this, but they have spent the money on the stars. Now they got to buy players that fill in the bench pieces and fill out the rest of the roster. And I think Miguel Andujar is an upgrade to what you've had at certain positions right there. If DH is going to be a rotating spot, this is a good bench piece for the Padres. It's a great bench piece for the Padres. You're starting to add some depth now, and you're that much closer to pitchers and catchers reporting. So we'll see what the Padres still have in store. We'll take a deeper dive into what Miguel Andujar brings to the San Diego Padres, where he fits in the roster. But the Padres are doing a good job plugging roster holes with low risk. We'll talk about where Miguel Andujar fits in this team when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Summer Sports Station, 97 through the Fan. College football playoffs stuck at 12 teams in 2026, and the power struggle is the real story. Despite all 10 conference commissioners and Notre Dame preferring playoff expansion, the college football playoff will remain at 12 teams in 2026. As we mentioned before, the official explanation is that another year of evaluation is needed. Sure. The explanation is widely viewed as cover, not cause. The real reason, the Big Ten versus the SEC. Nearly 2 years ago, the Big Ten and the SEC seized full control over the future of the college football playoff format. They demanded authority, received it, and now they can't agree on what to do with it. The Big Ten wants a 24-team playoff, multiple automatic bids for power conferences, and play-in games. The SEC wants 16-team playoff, 5 automatic bids for conference champions, and 11 at-large teams. The remaining 8 conferences overwhelmingly support the SEC's 16-team model, but they no longer have a vote. The result, total control, zero progress, and industry sentiment is blunt. They wrestled the power away and fumbled it. It's disgusting, this ego-driven gridlock. I couldn't agree more with those conversations. I'm a big component of the 2014 playoff. I know you've heard me rant about this multiple times. Both conferences have their own agendas. Neither conference wants to give up their power. They think they run college football, and instead of making progress and advancing with everybody, they're just doing their own thing. This sounds a lot like politics.
If this happens again next year, if I'm the NCAA, I'm looking at the Big 12 and the ACC going, all right, they can't figure it out. What do you guys want to do?
Yeah,
like, that would be
exactly.
my guess, is like, if you have 2 power entities that can't figure out what to do under one governing body, I'm sorry, it's up to the governing body to then take control and say, listen, we gotta make a decision here. We gotta make it soon. I don't understand how a 2014 playoff, especially when everybody, including Notre Dame, agreed. I don't understand how it didn't get changed this year.
Yeah, well, and, some people are on 16, some are on 24. The Big Ten was like, "We'll go to 16 if you agree to go to 24 later." I'm sure there's TV contract policies that are put in there as well as incentives, but they did change some things. And here's what changes: automatic bids in 2026. All Power Four conference champions get automatic bids, even if it's ranked outside the top 12. Highest ranked group of 6 team gets an automatic bid, even if they didn't win their conference. Which, by the way, everybody left this meeting had no idea that was in the rules. And Notre Dame automatically gets an at-large bid if it finishes as the top 12. Why is this problematic? Well, if you used the 2025 final college football playoff rankings as a test case for next year, Miami, who made the national championship, wouldn't have even been in the playoff. BYU would have been out. Duke would have been in, who won the ACC unranked. And Tulane would have been in as the highest-ranked group of 6 team, not necessarily a champion, even though they did win their championship. So yes, top 10 teams could miss the playoff while lower ranked or unranked teams get in because of automatic qualifiers. That's not expansion fairness. That's Frankenstein football. I'm telling you, do what the FCS does. It's so simple, but there's too much money involved and too many organizations that are greedy, that don't want to do what's best for college football. They want to do what's best for themselves.
My friend is also very adamant on this. Just have the top 24. Just run the top 24 out there. Whoever it is, just have the top 24 run out there as well. I mean, it's so absurd, and especially that group of 6 rule. That's just awful. Like, come on, we gotta make sure everyone knows what the heck is going on, and also a lot of this conference rules are changing as well as far as who gets in the conference championship game. So tiebreakers are being changed. The ACC model, which got Duke into that game in the first place, is being changed. So that alleviates some of the problem.
They keep changing until they get to the teams that they actually want in the playoff. So it's so dumb about the playoff. I need automatic qualifiers for every conference in Division I. Otherwise, what's the point of being a Division I school? They may as well make the change. Do what the FCS does. It's simple.
Agree,
conference
100%.
champions are in, and then you have a bunch of at-large teams. It's going to play itself out. It's the only format that is actually fair for college football. Now, here's the bigger picture. 2026 playoff ends on January 25th, 2027 in Las Vegas. That is the latest title game ever. Mm-hmm. January 25th is when the championship game is. There is a difference between 38 days between the first round of the playoff and the national championship game. This is a 1-year contract extension only on the 12-team playoff. The Big Ten and the SEC must decide the 2027 format by December 1st, 2026, which, by the way, is a deadline before they even see how the 2026 playoff works, which is also stupid. Non-playoff bowls are left hanging. Sponsors face uncertainty. The sport continues drifting towards 2-conference domination, which is not great for the sport. It is great for those 2 conferences, though. We could spend an entire podcast on this, but that is your update on the college football playoff that we got from last week. Frank had to show. We're speaking the stadium building into existence. Apparently, with Tampa Bay, they announced their.
Well, I mean, we knew it was coming. We just didn't know. We just didn't know when the renderings were coming out.
They put the renderings out. It looks like every stadium that they've built in the last 10 years.
Yeah, pretty much.
Since Jerry's World was built, they have started to make everything like a retractable roof. Which, honestly, if you're going to spend the money on a stadium, you might as well have it be able to host things all year long. If you are in a place that has weather. But, like, why not be able to host the Final Four or be able to host college basketball and the NBA, like just other major events that like to be inside?
We have to.
What is that?
That's I'm putting it up on the stream right now. So we're a minor league baseball show. We love minor league baseball here. We love the craziness of minor league baseball.
You got a mouse in your pocket?
Yeah.
Okay.
So every minor league team has an alter ego. Like, what is it? The San Antonio Missions or the Chonklers, right?
Yeah, Flying Chonklers.
Yeah. So apparently the Wichita Wind Surge,
excuse me,
have just announced their alter ego.
That's really close to the Wichita Wind Sox.
As if Wind Surge wasn't an alter ego in and of itself. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you.
I think I've heard of this team before.
The Wichita Honkers.
That's amazing. I need a hat. The Honkers.
The Wichita Honkers. It's a goose.
Of course, yeah.
It's a goose on a street sign that they made look like a baseball field because you can't have a street sign on a baseball uniform, apparently.
And then you also had like his beak looks like a
Yeah, it looks like
bike
a horn.
horn. Yeah.
It's the honkers.
The Wichita Honkers.
The Wichita Honkers.
I need to see the honker mascot next to the next to the shocker mascot of Wichita State. Cole Brooks. Foul. I do want that hat though. The Wichita Honkers.
That's fantastic.
They all have to be play on words too, right? Just to, entice people like Cole Brooks in the chat. If you don't know what I'm talking about. He loves the name. I'll just leave it at that.
Yes, he does.
I'm sure there's a lot of people driving around. Had to light up. I love the Wichita Honkers. I'm sure you do. Anyway, thank you for that.
Yep, of course.
So the Rays updated their stadium thing. It looks like every other stadium ever built since Jerry's World. And then, of course, like SoFi did the roof that's transparent so you can see through.
Mm-hmm.
And now everybody's doing that. So it's going to be like back in the 90s, 80s and 90s when everybody built the same multi-purpose stadium. Now everybody's copying the SoFi Stadium. And here it is. And there goes the jokes all over the chat. Nice. All right, let's talk about Miguel Andujar, Frank.
Yes.
I like the Miguel Andujar signing for the Padres. I think it does a lot of great things for the Padres offense. It didn't cost you a lot of money. I mean, $4 million in this day and age is relatively nothing towards the luxury tax, and then you're only paying him $1.5 million this season total, which opens up an opportunity to continue to add to your team. They're doing exactly what AJ Preller said he was going to do heading into the final week before spring training, and that's plugging roster holes with low risk, mid-reward bargains rather than a splashy spending. And they agreed to the 1-year, $4 million deal with Miguel Andujar, right-handed bat coming off of his best season since his 2018 rookie breakout. And the expectation internally is that Andujar will be used primarily as a designated hitter, while also providing flexibility at left field, first base, and right field. He only has 4 starts ever at first base. How hard could it be to play first base, Ronnie? Tell him, Ron.
Don't say that.
Tell him, Ron. It's incredibly hard. I don't think having Miguel Andujar play first base is going to be as difficult as having Scott Hatterberg play first base. I think it's probably going to be a little bit better than that, but I like the move. He's versatile. You could move him into a bunch of different spots. It's not like you signed Paul Goldschmidt and all he could do is play first base and DH. Andujar helps out the outfield. He helps out the corner infield spots. He helps out as a designated hitter. He checks off a lot of boxes and improves the depth of this team.
Yeah, and looking at what I put in the sheet here yesterday, he provides a genuine backup for Ramon Laureano with actual outfield experience. So that means you don't have to force Gavin Sheets out of the outfield anymore. It's also more likely than not bumps Brandon Lockridge to El Paso with the signing to start the year. DH, if you look at what he's done against left-handed pitching, he's got a 297 lifetime batting average against lefties. He has a 300 average against left-handed starters. So there is your right-handed hitting DH that you can swap out with Gavin Sheets. Came up as a third baseman with the Yankees. He's got more starts at third base than any other position. He started 179 games at third base, only 168 in left field. And as you mentioned, he's only got 4 career starts at first base. So that it is an option. It's not one that you should really lean on. But if you also look at like where he fits, or like where's this guy going to fit in the lineup? Gavin Sheets is going to hit where every day in the lineup? 6, 7, right around there, like in that.
I would
area.
imagine anywhere between cleanup down to 7 is probably the range that he'll be in.
Yeah, bottom third in the order,
mid to bottom.
He's got 171 career starts hitting either 6th or 7th, which means you're not going to have to completely overhaul the lineup in order to get him at bats. He's used to hitting in that lower part of the batting order, which means everyone up in front of him can get used to where they're hitting in the order. They can get a normal they can get a normal lineup out there, and it's just a plug and play. You don't have to completely overhaul and change your lineup to try to get him some at bats.
Yeah, so he's got, and we mentioned the numbers again. His career versus left-handed pitching, 297 average, 807 OPS. Last year, 389 average, 986 OPS against left-handed pitching. His 82.2% contact rate ranks in the top 20% of MLB hitters. You just lost the contact hitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just picked one up that's got a lot more pop.
Yeah.
He's not going to be at the level of Luis Arraez, but you added the contact hitter you wanted, and he's got pop.
53 career home runs for Miguel Andujar. And when he came up with the Yankees as their third baseman, because if I remember correctly, he was their third baseman after Chase Headley was done there, set I believe it was the American League rookie record for doubles in a season with 44. So this guy is a gap hitter. He knows how to just put the ball where outfielders are not. You're not really going to be relying on him in the field as much. He'll be in left field if Ramon Laureano needs a day off. He'll be in right field if Fernando needs a day off. He is your DH right now. He is your everyday DH right now. I love the signing. The second I saw it, I texted you, Braden, last night. I've been a huge fan of Miguel Andujar his entire career. And I really love this signing for the Padres.
Yeah, he's not going to be a starter. He's going to spot start against lefties, right? And most likely will be a designated hitter, I would imagine. And again, now you're on your bench. You have a bat and Miguel Andujar, and you got a glove and Sung-Moon Song.
Yep.
Like Sung-Moon Song's going to be the defensive replacement late. It's not going to be Miguel Andujar. Now you could have a situation where, depending on who DHs that day, if you can add another bat, it'd be nice to add one more bat, and that's, a bat, possibly multiple bats, is what AJ Preller said over the weekend. If you add another bat, now Miguel Andujar could be the spot start guy, not to worry about playing every day in the field. But then you could have a situation where it's a lefty reliever coming in. Miguel Andujar is the pinch hitter. And then after he pinch hits, Sung-Moon Song goes out there and he plays defensively wherever he was able to sub in for. Right? Yeah. So I think it gives you some versatility. He can play those spots, throughout the season. He's not going to be an everyday starter, as we mentioned before. Now, again, some of the risk factors are, as people have pointed out, and we talked about this on why we wanted Paul Goldschmidt over Miguel Andujar, was you needed a first baseman, and Goldschmidt plays really good defense, right? And he still rakes lefties. His production's gone down. He's older compared to Miguel Andujar. But the risk factors for Miguel are injuries that have derailed his career post 2018. He logged just a 0.2 WAR F4 combined since his rookie year, and rarely has topped 162 plate appearances until last season. So hopefully that part is behind him. And he's got limited defensive value, as mentioned before. Not a plus defender. Reinforces that it is a bat first situational upgrade, not an everyday lineup lock. But the big picture context of this entire sign right here, Preller openly stated his goal was to add a bat, probably multiple bats, players motivated that want to be here, and deals that make sense from a price standpoint. And this signing checks every single one of those boxes.
Yeah, absolutely. I am, like I said, I am such a huge fan of this signing. It gives you that right-handed hitting lefty pitcher hitter without the age that would be associated with a guy like Paul Goldschmidt. So I think it's the best of both worlds. You got exactly what you were looking for. You got it for a cheaper price, and you also got it at a relatively young age too, one that you wouldn't be all that opposed to bringing back. And he is definitely he's a downside better than guys like your Yuli Gurriel, Jason Hayward, Connor Joe that you've been signing over the last couple of years right around this time getting into spring training. So it is definitely an upgrade on all counts for what you were looking for.
We need to take a quick break. When we come back, AJ Preller did mention about adding to the starting pitching rotation. I'm sure there's some movement there, but there was some movement yesterday involving the Detroit Tigers, and that's our subject of 30 teams in 30-ish days when we come back. This week in San Diego high school sports, it felt bigger than just scores and standings. It was about legacy, loyalty, and what still matters in an era where kids are constantly being told to chase the next opportunity. From a legendary coach closing in on history to a star player choosing home over hype, this was a reminder that San Diego high school sports still really has a heartbeat. And we'll start with the story of the week, Don Lee and 500 wins. Cathedral Catholic girls soccer coach Don Lee hit a milestone very few ever reach. That is career win number 500. What makes it powerful isn't just the number, it's how she has gotten there. She took over the program for the Dons after her father, Butch Lee, passed away. Never recruited a player, treats the starter and the last player off the bench exactly the same. 11 section championships for Don Lee in the women's soccer program at Cathedral Catholic, now sitting just 11 wins shy of the San Diego section record at 511. This season, the Dons are 11-5-2. They're ranked 4th in the county, 26th in the state, and with 5 regular season games plus playoffs left, that record could fall this season, and it's very on brand for Don Lee.
Yeah, and especially just hearing about this, never recruiting a player, treating every player the same. I mean, that is a player that is a coach that any player who has played under Dawn should really feel honored to have played.
And she didn't even know about the record until recently. This isn't about chasing numbers. It's about culture, consistency, longevity. And now with the first ever CIF state tournament, Cathedral Catholic has a real chance to chase history on another level, but also for their coach and Don Lee. And they always do an alumni soccer game to start the year. It's always highly attended. That is one of the best programs over at Cathedral Catholic. And a daughter taking over for her father a long time ago, now up to almost 500, up to 500 wins and 11 away from potentially breaking tying a San Diego section record.
Maybe
it's a pretty cool story.
Maybe we get her on the show after she breaks the record.
We could get Dawn on the show. Dawn listens to our show all the time. I mean, she is a big Padres fan too. A wrestling spotlight for you. Poway versus the Nation. Poway is the best wrestling program in San Diego and one of the best in California. If you want to know what separates the elite programs from good ones, look at Poway Wrestling. They went on the road and battled the number 1 team in Clovis Buchanan. And while Poway didn't sweep, the takeaway was clear. Depth wins championships. Poway's lower weights kept them competitive. Backup wrestlers beating top-ranked starters. And the girl squad showed serious fire with multiple pins in hostile territory. This wasn't a loss. It was a measuring stick. And Poway showed they belong in the national mat, not just the section.
Yeah, absolutely. And great coaching and great preparation helps you get over the issue of starting wrestlers and backup wrestlers. So that is huge, fantastic job for Poway.
And Poway Wrestling has just been an absolute machine for decades plus, and really showing it now at the national scale. CJ Aldrich and loyalty. John Maffey had a great article on CJ Aldrich in the paper this week. In an era of transfers, prep schools, recruiting pressure, RBV, Rancho Buena Vista, CJ Aldrich made a choice you don't see often anymore. He stayed home. Spiked interest from out-of-state prep programs and CIF Southern Section schools, Aldrich chose Rancho Buena Vista, the school where his mom taught for 30 years. He's been around the program since 7th grade, and he wanted to leave his mark. And his numbers are staggering as a Longhorn. 2,582 career points, 8th all-time in section history, 105 double-figure scoring games, averaging 24.6 points per game as a senior. It's pretty cool that he chose his neighborhood school over potentially going to a Trinity League school in the southern section or even another school outside of his area. He focused on the school that his mom taught at for 30 years in a program he's been around.
It's so nice and so refreshing to see, especially when you have all this money and all this ability to throw at these kids. To see them take the conscious decision to stay put where they're at because they feel that's what's best for them. Very, very refreshing to see. Congratulations. Great job.
Yeah, he had a 27-point, 16-rebound game, and after that game that he put up tons of numbers, he went straight to film and looked at his 4 turnovers over and over again to help improve his game. He's going to Dartmouth. Athletes of the week, rapid fire look. Bianca Sloan, McDonald's All-American nominee, dominant in limited minutes, won the one of the players of the week. She's a women's basketball player for Cathedral Catholic. Yvonne Marchenko from Army Navy, 15 points, 17 boards, and a big league win. Gia Jacob from Valhalla, Open Division MVP in water polo. Noah Larios out of Imperial pins all 4 opponents in under 1 minute each in wrestling. Atlanta Bass Sopizo from La Jolla Country Day, 23 points in a statement win over Modern Day Catholic. And then Tristan Marcansano, very close to Marchese from Santana, 2 goals, now at 10 on the season in soccer. This isn't just basketball country. got wrestling. We got all sorts of things in San Diego high school athletics, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a lot of fun to see. I mean, we talk about it all the time on the show, how San Diego is a hotbed for football and Southern California being a hotbed for football as well. It's nice to see all the other sports getting their representation as well.
Quick rankings check-in. Both boys and girls basketball rankings show the same trend. Top heavy, no. Deep, absolutely. Santa Fe Christian, Victory Christian remained the boys' standard. And then for women's basketball, Francis Parker still leads the girls, but Mater Dei Catholic and Cathedral are right there. Every playoff bracket is going to be dangerous as we get closer to playoff time in CIF section. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. We're the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All guests on 97.3 The Fan join us on the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys, helping good people regain control of their future when charged with the crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. And on the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline, we head to Detroit as part of our 30-day teams in 30-ish days. We are now joined by a beat writer for MLB.com who covers the Detroit Tigers. He's been doing it since 2002. He has been a sports writer for Sportsline.com, AOL, and the Bowling Green Daily News since 1996 after graduating from Xavier University. He's covered the Tigers now for a long time. His name is Jason Beck, who covers the team for MLB.com, joining us on the Braden Surprenant Show. Jason, you guys have been pretty busy the last 48 hours or so with Tarek Skubal and Framber Valdez. Must be time for baseball season.
Yeah. When you have two big left-handed pitchers in the news like this so much over the last day or two, it starts feeling like it's time to get down to Florida and see some baseball diamonds.
Let's talk about the Tarek Skubal situation first. It sounds like that we're still waiting to hear exactly what the figure is between the Tarek Skubal side of things and Detroit. The Tigers wanted to pay about $19 million. Tarek Skubal thought he deserves $32 million. They're part of the arbitration hearing, which happened yesterday. Haven't heard the results yet. What's the latest on the Tarek Skubal situation in Detroit?
Yeah, still waiting on it. It's something where we knew ahead of time that, even though the hearing was going to be yesterday, that you weren't expecting a ruling until today. I know, the timing of the Framber signing created some speculation. Maybe the Tigers know something, but all indications are, they have not been given any ruling either. So, we're kind of waiting for that to come out. Obviously it's a huge difference in payroll, even when you take into account that you're going to have another pitcher making, I guess the average annual value of that Framber deal is about $38 million. But, that still, it could make a difference on, whether the Tigers decide to look into doing anything else this winter or something like that.
The next part, obviously, is the Framber Valdez situation. You briefly talked about it, but how did this come about? I mean, for the Tigers that, weren't necessarily linked to Framber Valdez, at least from a national standpoint, the big conversation was the Tarek Skubal situation, and he's in his walk year, and are they going to re-sign him or trade him? They could potentially trade Tarek Skubal, and then they go out and they sign Framber Valdez to a very high value. And I think a lot of people outside of Detroit, Jason, are looking at this going, well, how can they say that they only want to pay $19 million for Tarek Skubal, but yet they go sign Framber Valdez for $38.3 million? It raises a lot of eyebrows. I think a lot of people might not understand how arbitration works per se, but that was kind of a shocker for everybody yesterday. How did this deal come about?
Well, the Tigers had been linked in the market on starting pitching really all off season. They'd done some smaller things, signing Drew Anderson back from Korea. Obviously Jack Flaherty decided to pick up his option and come back. They had Skubal and Mize returning. Reese Olson is supposed to be back from injury. So, they had a pretty good five there. They were at the very least looking for depth and they were linked to a lot of guys on short-term deals, more like the 1-year types, which they've been known for over the last few years. But all the while, you kind of got the sense that if the Tigers have a chance to sign a guy for who's a little bit above that level, and maybe sign him for a few years where you give yourself a logical guy at the top of the rotation if you cannot re-sign Skubal next winter, that would put them in a pretty good position long term, because they are very bullish about how they feel like their team shapes up, certainly offensively and lineup wise over the next few years. They feel like their windows, they have a better perception about their long-term window than I think a lot of fans might. And so as the Framber market kind of lingered there, you started hearing some buzz, Tigers might be lurking in the weeds here if they can get, kind of a, not necessarily one of those 5 or 6 year deals, because that's not really something that Scott Harris has done a lot in his career, but something more along the lines of a few years, and maybe throw an opt-out in there. And, they were able to pounce. The timing is interesting because, like you said, it comes right after this arbitration hearing and before the ruling. So the optics aren't great there, certainly. But, besides the difference between arbitration salaries and free agency salaries, I think they were at a point where if they were going to make a move like this, now is the time to do it, because there were more, the longer Framber lingered out there, the more likely you were going to have other teams trying to dive in and trying to do a similar deal. And as you know, when you in free agency now, especially with the top free agents, when you do these shorter term deals, that average salary tends to bump up because they look for a little bit more money for their trouble. We've seen it with Bregman, we've seen it with Kyle Tucker, and now Framber joins that group.
We're talking with Jason Beck, who covers the Tigers for MLB.com, here on the Braden Surprenant Show. We're live each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's Number Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. I think a lot of Tigers fans obviously are worried potentially about Tarik Skubal potentially moving on at the end of the year. What's this signing of Framber Valdez do for the future of Tarik Skubal? I mean, obviously it sounded like he really wanted to test free agency. Maybe he doesn't sign an extension while he's with the Tigers, but does Framber, for the Tigers fans out there, does Framber Valdez, signing him put a fork in maybe Tarik Skubal coming back after this year, or are the Tigers in a range where they can afford to pay for both players?
It would certainly seem to make it tougher to sign them both long term. Particularly if Skubal is looking for that $40 million a year salary. That's those types of salaries are difficult for for a lot of teams to have for two starters. I mean, obviously you have some exceptions there with the Yankees and the Dodgers, with their groups. It's difficult. It's a little tougher for, a team like Detroit. But on the other hand, the Tigers have so much young talent position-wise, and they have so few long-term obligations on the payroll, including Framber. We're only talking about a 3-year deal for Framber, and it would be 2 if he ends up exercising his opt-out. So, you can still see a scenario where the Tigers could, on a longer deal, maybe get creative and find a way to make this work without hampering them from doing a whole lot of other stuff, while also acknowledging the window where, once some of these prospects get up, Kevin McGonigal, Max Clark, Jose Bursinho, that, you should have a pretty good group of position talent that's not going to be taking up a large share of your payroll.
Let's talk about that young talent. I mean, this team is loaded with guys that are under control for a long period of time, with notable players that are not even yet eligible for arbitration, and a handful of players that are eligible for arbitration. I mean, they got a lot of young players in this organization from a position player standpoint. And Jason, we get to see the Tigers in person here in San Diego for opening day. So for all the San Diegans out there that are buying opening day tickets and getting ready to watch their Padres play the Detroit Tigers, what should they expect out of a young core of position players and Javi Baez?
Well, you know you're going to get, Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson, and Kerry Carpenter. Those are the big three right now. They've been around a few years. They finally reached arbitration eligibility. Riley Green has been an all-star the last couple of years. Torkelson was quietly one of the better comeback stories around baseball last year, in my opinion. Really kind of established himself, not only as a on-field at-the-plate power source, but also kind of as a off-the-field leader for this group. And you saw Kerry Carpenter kind of, graduate, I think to a large degree from that platoon guy who didn't hit a lot against lefties to a guy you can trust on taking on a more regular role and giving you clutch at bats, regardless of what side of the mound the pitcher's coming off of. So, that's kind of your core group. But there's a lot of young talent besides that. Dylan Dingler won a Gold Glove at catcher last year in the American League. He has firmly established himself, I think, among one of the better catchers in the league at a very young age. He just finished his first full major league season. Parker Meadows battled injuries last year, but I think we saw down the stretch in 2024, what kind of impact he can have when he's on. I'm sure, some fans in San Diego might remember him from that big grand slam there a few years ago to help the Tigers beat the Padres, I think, in the finale of that series that they had there a couple of years back. And there's guys on the way. Kevin McGonigal is going to get a lot of attention in spring training as to whether he can win a job on this opening day roster. He is a bona fide prospect, a guy who combines a ton of grit and competitiveness with a very impact bat and some underrated athleticism. And, it would not be a total shock if you end up seeing him at shortstop there on opening day, if he performs up to the hype in spring training. Max Clark is a potential 5-tool center fielder on the way. He's, barring some sort of crazy circumstance, he will not make the team out of spring training. But I think there's a scenario where you could see him up in the majors by the end of this season, particularly if Parker Meadows struggles. There are guys after that. Troy Melton made a big impression. He's a guy who should be familiar with some San Diego people. He pitched in college down there. They think a lot of him, and they think he has a chance after, playing a really big role in the bullpen last year and in the playoffs, that he has a really good chance to solidify their rotation. Although it's going to be a little bit tougher for him to make that rotation right now. Reese Olson's coming back from shoulder. There's a lot of talent, that they went through a lot of lean years and ended up picking high in the draft, for several seasons. But they also made some understated signings and draft picks, including Tarek Skubal as a 9th rounder. So it's, you're seeing a few waves of talent here coming together now. And I think there's a lot of curiosity in Detroit as far as, in terms of how far can these groups take us.
Jason, we appreciate the time. Give us a little preview of the Detroit Tigers and, really giving us information on everything that went down yesterday with the Detroit Tigers. Should be a fun pitching matchup for opening day. Michael King, Nick Pivetta is one of the first 2 gays. Tarek Skubal, Framber Valdez. Look forward to seeing out here in America's finest city on opening day, Jason.
Well, somebody who's sitting in 20-degree weather and snow right now, I cannot wait for San Diego.
It was 84 degrees yesterday in San Diego, a little bit higher than it usually is, but you'll enjoy the weather out here for sure. We appreciate the time.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on. Love talking ball with you.
Jason Beck, who covers the Tigers for MLB.com, joining us on the Braden Surprenant show here in the first hour of the show on a Thursday. And today, what a great time to have him on to talk about what's going on with the Detroit Tigers that happened yesterday. So let's talk about the Framber Valdez, Tarek Skubal situation. I mean, he clarified some of the things, but I agree. The optics of last night were rough. Yeah. Did you see what Tarek Skubal messaged or put on the post?
No,
by
I did not.
Framber Valdez?
No.
You got dinner. That's what he put on
that's
the.
fair.
Hey, it is fair. Hey, you know what? Framber's making more money than Tarek. Even if he wins,
gets his number. Yeah.
Even if he wins his arbitration hearing, Framber's still making more money than Tarek Skubal. How about that?
Yeah, it is. I mean, that is something you're getting Tarek Skubal and you're getting Framber Valdez 1 and 2 here in San Diego to open up the year. That is a rough way to start a season, especially against some great pitchers like that. But it leads you to believe what we had thought was if Skubal loses the arbitration hearing, it's still the biggest pay raise ever given by arbitration. So I can't see a world where Skubal wins this hearing now, especially since the Tigers went out and signed Framber Valdez. I can't see it.
I can see why the Padres signed Miguel Andujar now. Guy rakes lefties. He's got 2 lefties to start the season.
Exactly.
Got to get better at hitting lefties.
Welcome to the opening day lineup.
Yeah. Miguel Andujar is going to be in the starting lineup on opening day. He'll be the DH.
It is a phenomenal opening 2 nights.
With the pitching matchup's great. I mean,
Michael
not only did we
Tarek Skubal, but Nick Pivetta against Framber Valdez. Those are going to be
or vice
games.
versa. I mean, all 4 of those guys could be an opening day starter.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, we're going to see how the spring training plays out and injuries take an effect and the way that the timing is for certain days start playing out. And, you know, I'm sure they'll ask Craig Stammen on the first day who your opening day starter is. We'll see what Craig says. And they always ask, and they never have an answer for him. So I could see it being King, or I could see it being Nick Pivetta. And again, it just kind of it honestly depends on like the timing of spring training and some other things that play out. But and either of those 2 guys for the Padres and either Framber Valdez or Tarek Skubal for the Tigers, it's a pretty good pitching matchups to start the year here in San Diego.
Yeah, absolutely. And that team that Detroit is building up, Riley Green is fantastic. Of course, we know about Kerry Carpenter and Spencer Torkelson. Jake Rogers behind the plate's a very, very solid hitter, anchoring the back end of that lineup. So Parker Meadows is a great young outfielder. I believe Colt Keith is there as one of their middle infielders. So they have a very, very solid team. There's a reason why they were able to make that push to the playoffs in 2024 and then and then get out to the lead that they got out to last year to start the year.
I talk about like randomly generated names. They have the randomly generated name roster. Dylan Dingler, Jackson Jobe, Jahmai Jones, Colt Keith. I mean, are you kidding me with some of the names that they have added to this roster? I mean, I've never met a Tarek ever. Tariq Skubal? Give me a break. And then they have country singer Riley Green on their team.
Yeah, there you go. See that?
Yeah. Spencer Torkelson's got the most normal name on this entire team. Kerry Carpenter.
Yeah, Kerry Carpenter's fine. I mean,
how do you say Bo Bresky?
Bo Bresky, yeah.
Bo Bresky. Bo Bresky, Dylan Dingler, Jackson Jobe, Jahmai Jones, Kerry Carpenter, Colt Keith.
What are those words called where they're two names that start with the same letter?
I don't know. It's like stuff like that I had to learn in English class, like in middle school, that I don't ever use anymore. So, but that is the team that's filled with those guys. This entire team has those type of players. The name generator team is exactly what the Detroit Tigers are. Amazing. Alliteration? Is that what you're looking for?
I believe so, yeah. That must be it, yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Colebrook's Braden only knows sports trivia.
Tricks.
Oh, tricks. I was
true. Yeah, you know what? Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's one of the trivia nights that I've done, they have had a alliteration as a category. Why does everybody else science, by the way, at these things? Have you ever been to a trivia?
No.
When they do science, everybody else science. Why is that? Who's the trivia master? What came with the science?
It could be the song. From I believe it was Larry Dolby. I believe.
Is that what it is?
I believe so.
Every time there's a science category, everybody else science.
That might
And I don't know
might
why.
be it. That's my best educated guess.
Who does trivia in the chat? Who wants to tell me why they do that? And category number 3 is science. And then even the guy does it. Science. And everybody answers science.
Thomas Dolby.
It's from the 80s song?
Yeah.
Is that what it's from?
I believe that's my educated guess on that. Thomas Dolby was who did it.
Yeah, there you go. Everybody's a Thomas Dolby fan, I guess. Anyway, last night I went out and had, every year I have me and my guy Brian, who coaches at Lincoln, we have drinks at some point during the off season. It's like kind of it's like the scene from Heat with De Niro and Pacino.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's kind of how like we view it, right? Because we go against each other every year. And I was there, and we went to Junction last night. Good, that's a solid place in Scripps Ranch. I'm like walking out, and I shout out to Nanette, who stopped me and was like, "Oh, big fan of your show." Shout out to Nanette. I took a picture with her. Brian's like, "What are you, a celebrity?" I'm like, no.
Well, kind of.
Shout out to Nanette. I went to Junction last night.
I'm kind of a big deal. People know me.
It's from the song. There you go, Frank. It's from the song.
Son of a gun. Look at that.
Son of a gun. Some important stuff on Benton Woods we got to get to when we come back. I have heard this song before. This is the exact song I thought of when you said that it's from the. It might be from the song Science. That's the reason why people yell science at trivia.
I guess so.
That's kind of lame.
Like I said, dude, you're asking nerds to not do the nerdy thing.
Not do the nerd thing.
Way to know your audience.
I'm just All right. Well, there it is. Why is there no show? I will be off tomorrow. I'm helping out, volunteering with some stuff. I'm off tomorrow.
He's making a day of his career
day. I always do that every single time of year, so I'll be off tomorrow for that. But you'll be able to hear the best of. And we got a lot of great bits playing tomorrow.
We do.
So even though I won't be on live tomorrow, we will have some good content for you tomorrow. Anyway, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our YouTube page. It's in the YouTube chat below. If you go down to the description below, the first link, youtube.com/@B_SURP @BSURP. That is our YouTube page. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We are at almost 700. We're trying to get to 1,000. Trying to get to 1,000. If you haven't done so already, it's free to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. We have other membership opportunities on that site as well. God.
Big chop.
Foul.
Big chop.
It's true.
He draws the foul.
Look at the end of it, though. Okay. That's going to make it third day in a row of no spelling mistakes by Drank.
Is that Drake and Frank put together?
Brothers making fun of me for not being able to spell while not being able to spell.
Maybe that was part of the bit.
No, it wasn't, because the way he reacted in the chat.
Since the guy that can't spell, his name is Frank, we should misspell his own name in the argument back. Big job. Foul, big dog.
He already outed himself that was a mistake. So no, sorry. Can't use that as your cover now.
Be sure to follow us on all social media. It's in the description below. You can also subscribe to our YouTube page. If you haven't done it already, please do it. It helps us. Helps us a lot. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. My guy Prolific already asking, why is this show not get to 1,000 subscribers yet? Help us get there.
I don't know, Prolific. Why aren't you a member of the Braden Surprenant Show page? Already?
We got to get the T-shirts going too. That's going to be coming soon. But yes, the half the chat's over there, half the chat's over here. We see all of the chat here on the YouTube page, but it's great. Go to the Braden Surprenant Show page at B_SURP on YouTube, youtube.com/@B_SURP. It will say subscribe. Hit subscribe. Click the subscribe button. It's free. And then you can find our show wherever you want to find it. So it's great. We appreciate you doing that. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. Let's talk about what happened this morning on Bennett Woods. Bennett Woods had on Eben Novy-Williams from Sportico, who was one of the contributing writers to the article about the Padres and an ownership sale and who could potentially be buying the San Diego Padres. Now, there's a couple of clips that we find very interesting that we're going to replay for you right now and take a deeper dive into who could be the new owner of the San Diego Padres. I thought it was interesting that started to trickle out the last couple of days, especially after some of the litigation between Shiel Seidler and the Seidler brothers have been dropped, especially the areas that involve the San Diego Padres specifically. But here's the first clip from Eben Novy-Williams on Bennett Woods talking about a lot of the potential of some of these English Premier League owners wanting to jump in and buy the Padres.
If you're running this process, if you're the Padres, you want, there's drips and drabs that come out in the media, very many places that benefits you, right? There's a benefit from this looking like it is a vibrant auction.
Yes.
And there's a lot of the same people that bounce around sports teams. And we'll use Feliciano and Friedkin as good examples. Both of these guys have been in the running and late-stage bidders for major professional sports teams in the past couple years, in addition to the ones that they've actually purchased. So whether it's the Celtics with Friedkin, whether it's the Broncos with Jose Feliciano, he was very close to buying a chunk of the Los Angeles Chargers, actually, and that actually fell through basically at the last minute. But yeah, in some ways, like there are some familiar names that tend to pop up in a lot of different processes. And then to your point about the secrecy, and then you have people who, because of who they're working with or because of who they are or because of where they're from, you don't have as much insight. I've been told by multiple people that there is an Asian consortium, I think from South Korea, that is also in talks and showing interest in the Padres. I'm trying to figure out who they are. I don't know who they are. But yeah, I think some of it is there are people who are familiar to us at Sportico and to other folks who are kind of constantly interested in expanding their sports portfolio. And then you have people that kind of come out of nowhere sometimes. So yeah, there's other people in this process besides the 3 billionaires that we're talking about. And hopefully when I know who they are, I will be, I'll be putting that out there.
That's very interesting. There's about all of the potential clip. What is the other clip? The other clip. I thought the other clip's about those owners specifically, correct?
Oh, okay. It's how cautious should Padre fans be about new ownership was the title of the other clip.
Yeah, that's going to be the one about the.
So that was the
specifically
one.
About
the one you wanted.
Yes. The more info one was the second one.
Sorry,
it's okay. Let's go to the one that we were originally going to play.
Let's start this whole transaction over again.
That's
here.
right. You're too busy.
I think the caution is that you just never know, even if people have money, how much they're willing to spend. And I think if you know any fans of the Baltimore Orioles, they were very frustrated with their ownership for a very long time. A new multi-billionaire owner came in right at a time when the team felt like on the field was poised to be a dominant force in baseball. And 2.5 years later, I think most of those fans would tell you that they're pretty livid that David Rubenstein hasn't spent more and hasn't dedicated more to a team at a time when the potential was all there. So yes, Jose Feliciano and Joe Lacob and Dan Friedkin, the 3 buyers who I know are interested in the Padres, they all have a lot of money. But it's you never know if that person is willing to, how much they're willing to spend. And in baseball, as you guys know, it's a critical component. It's not as critical in the NFL, where everyone pays the same amount and every owner, regardless of who they are, has a salary cap that they abide to. In baseball, that's the difference in many cases between winning and losing.
Have to be able to spend money once you buy the team. But like I said yesterday, people that usually spend the money to have a new toy are going to do what it takes to have a new toy and and be able to use said new toy. And the ownerships that don't do that, well, I mean, I'm sure there's a handful of those like the Baltimore Orioles, but even the Baltimore Orioles are starting to spend a little bit of money right now. The logic of a new owner is going to come in and just cut the entire team from what they are and destroy every type of asset that they might have with the Padres is a non-starter for me, because it doesn't make any type of business sense whatsoever. Like not any business sense. Why would you spend $2.5 billion on a new team and then strip everything off of it that makes it a valuable asset? That makes no sense. Most of the ownership groups in Major League Baseball that don't spend a lot inherited the team and don't really have any money besides owning the team. You got to look for ownership groups that have liquid assets to spend the money, not ones that, really just want to increase their portfolio and deal with the, private, all the hedge funds and stuff like that. So there's definitely some components for new ownership groups. And the ones that have really jumped in that want to own teams that have this kind of money usually spend money, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw somebody in the chat ask, I think it was Big Chop actually, ask, is the new owner going to matter? It's how much money the new owner's going to matter if there's a salary cap. Yeah, it is, because it depends on how close to the cap you get. There are teams that are going to stay towards the bottom of the salary range, and then there are teams that are going to go towards the top of the salary range. So yeah, it does matter how much the owners have. And if you're wanting a guy like Feliciano to buy the team, take a look at what Chelsea's done over the last couple of years. They were starting to fall back into obscurity, mid-table, and now they're perennially in the top 4 in the Premier League with one of the highest payrolls in the league. So there are guys, there's also an ownership dispute going on, I believe, with Chelsea right now too. So there's a lot to be excited for. And yeah, if you're going to put the money down to buy one of these teams, may as well have some fun with it.
I look at and he brings up the Orioles owner, but here's the difference though too. The guys that are buying multiple sports franchises are the ones that are spending money and wanting to win. And you just look at the track record of the 3 that have been that have been rumored to buy the Padres. You want to talk about the Orioles' new owner? He's worth $3 billion, right, Frank? The Orioles are the first team he's ever bought.
Yeah, so he's learning on the job too.
So he's not familiar with owning a team. He doesn't, he owns the asset, and he's obviously, somebody that's maybe not into running the team like other entities are.
Yeah,
plus he bought the Orioles for $1.7 billion. Again, you can start getting that $2 billion threshold. You are getting people that are serious about wanting to own a sports team.
Yeah, and it's like us when we discussed it yesterday. Our first show was Cinco de Mayo last year. Learn each other, get into our own rhythms on how to do this, and then we start. Then, like we've seen over the last couple of weeks with the videos and stuff like that, the new graphics, we're starting to add stuff to it, and we're starting to grow a little bit. So you could take that as what the Orioles ownership has done. He's trying to figure it out. He's trying to get a routine set in. And now you're seeing this offseason. You're signing Pete Alonso. You're making all these big trades. Now he's starting to add around it because he's got a foundation down that he can rely on. So now we start expanding.
I mean, I look at these 3 potential linked owners and these are guys that own teams, right? And you look at look at the track record of their teams and the success that they've had and the money that they put in to win in those organizations. That is the positive sign, not somebody that's like putting it in as an investment and they're just keeping the investment. At this point, what the level of the value of these franchises, people don't spend that kind of money just to wait on it for 10 years and then sell the team again.
No,
that's when the teams are worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yep, absolutely.
Not $2 billion. That's the difference. And I think a lot of people are so focused on disaster because and I said it yesterday, they don't want it to happen so bad. They want it to happen just so they can show how negative they are and talk about the negativity and then go, woe is me, I'm a Padres fan. But I have to say, the level of what the Padres are going to sell for, the people that are interested in them are going to be spending the money to make that thing. They're the people that have the kind of money that could buy a team and then spend to make it good. They're not people that are just going to buy the team, become cash poor, and then try to sit on it for 10 years.
Yeah.
That's not the type of owner that you're going to get with the price of the Padres. I mean, if you look at the 3 owners that were listed, the one that is not worth as much net worth-wise is Lacob. And Lacob's won 5 NBA titles. And Lacob spends money. And Lacob brings in, I mean, they have a salary cap to an extent, but the Golden State Warriors had won 5 NBA titles with Lacob in charge. So if he's the guy that is worth the least amount of money, I'm telling you, ownership groups that own multiple assets of teams are doing it because it's a fun toy for them. They're not doing it to cash out. Like, unfortunately for a lot of, I understand from San Diego fan perspectives, they've been burned by a lot of owners. And San Diego arguably has had some of the worst owners in all of professional sports before the Seidler family took over. And there was a couple that were good, but you had two of the worst owners ever in professional sports with the Spanos family and John Sterling. Those are the two worst owners in all of sports. I'm sure there's others now, like Jerry Reinsdorf's probably not that great. But these are ownership groups that have burned Padres fans and Charger fans and San Diego fans in the past. And I think it has really turned sour to a lot of people thinking that's exactly what's going to happen with the new ownership group. And I'm telling you, the level of how much this team costs, they ward off all of those people. It's like the same thing with the prices of housing and flippers. Like, you want to get rid of the flippers, right? Like, that's exactly what these owners would be. Flippers are jumping on houses that are $500,000 to $700,000. You know what they're not jumping on? Houses that cost a couple of $1 million, because that's a big investment to try to sit on it or flip an organization. It doesn't make a lot of sense. The people that are buying these teams, they're buying these houses to live in these houses. They're not buying these houses to flip them. So I'm telling you, I think with the price of the team, it's going to be too expensive to have the bad owners that you're expecting. And you look at the Orioles owner, because that was one of the more recent ownership takeovers. He bought the team for $1.7 billion. And what is he? He is a guy, he's 76 years old. He was the co-founder and chairman of the Carlyle Group, and he's the president of the Alfalfa Club. And that's it. Like, he had no other sports connections. Yeah, you don't want that guy to buy your team. He is the guy who was heading an investment group that included Cal Ripken Jr. that acquired the Orioles for $1.7 billion. That's not somebody you want owning your team. You want the 3 billionaires that have been listed that own other teams or invest in other teams to own your team, because those are guys that want to go out there and win championships. And I got a text yesterday from somebody that knows the Lacob family, because his family was part of the ownership group with that family. And I'm telling you, he said a lot of good things about Lacob, and some things that I'm telling you would be good if he ended up buying the team. And he's one of the 3 that might buy the team. I'll tell you about that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 to the Fan. San Diego State men's basketball in first place, kind of. Not a lot of margin left for error for San Diego State basketball. They're in a 3-way tie for first place with Utah State and New Mexico as they walked into Logan, Utah, with a chance to separate itself with the Mountain West. Instead, the Aztecs walked out with a 71-66 loss at Utah State. And now we've got to a full-blown 5-team race. Here's the reality. San Diego State, Utah State, New Mexico are all 9-2. Nevada and Grand Canyon are close behind. And suddenly, every night feels like March Madness. Head coach Brian Dutcher said it best. It's a heck of a Mountain West, and no one's wrong. But San Diego State also let a huge opportunity slip. The good news is the Aztecs still control their destiny. They've already played road games against most of the contenders, and the schedule sets up favorably over the next 5 games. Wyoming this week, Air Force of the weekend, Nevada, Grand Canyon, both at home, and then at Colorado State. These are must wins if San Diego State wants at least a share of the Mountain West title.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we talked about on the show on Tuesday, and as we also discussed last week during this update, Utah State has not yet played New Mexico. San Diego State had a great opportunity to try to separate themselves from the field, and unfortunately failed the same way the football team did when they had that very same opportunity. And now they're relying, they do have a home game against Utah State coming up. They also play New Mexico again, but now they're also relying on those two teams going up against each other, because Utah State and New Mexico have not played each other yet. And this is going out on YouTube for Wednesday. They're playing tonight. Utah State and New Mexico are playing tonight in their first game, and that's also how they end the season as well. So San Diego State, they are in a help yourself spot, but they're also in a position where they can also get a little help from outside.
Yeah, the bad news, of course, for San Diego State is health. Again, Reese Dixon-Waters rolled his ankle in the second half and wasn't the same at Utah State. Magoon Guath remains out. Elsie Harrington is in a walking boot. Sounds like he's going to be in a walking boot for a couple of weeks. That's 40% of the starting lineup, either compromised or unvaluable, and it showed late in Logan. But before we get to the context of how San Diego State has adapted and under Brian Dutcher has performed after losses, you look at the 40% of the starting lineup being compromised or unavailable. It goes back to the beginning of the season where they thought they have a lot of depth. And you know what? With the schedule that they have coming up, San Diego State can still capitalize on all those games with the depth that they have. It's just the next man up mentality. And you know what? It's going to be a lot of Miles Byrd again.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of injuries. Remember, at the start of the season, we were talking about missing Miles Byrd and Magoon Guath. Now you just have Guath. Bird's come back and has worked his way into an everyday, healthy every single day, playing out there most minutes. But now you're seeing Reese Dixon-Waters get hurt, Elsie Harrington. These are the supporting cast members surrounding Miles Byrd, especially with Magoon Guath not there, that San Diego State really needs out on the floor. And there's only so many next men left that you can call on.
Aztecs 36-2 at home after a loss under Brian Dutcher. They've won 14 straight games against Wyoming going into Tuesday's matchup, and they're 51-11 in games immediately following a loss. Program never really lets one loss turn into two. They're going to need that definitely in the next 5 games or so. Now, the NIL reality check. This was interesting. Mark Ziegler posted this about Utah State and San Diego State when they got to meet this week. This week also pulled back the curtain on something bigger than one game. Brian Dutcher openly admitted San Diego State does not have the NIL or revenue-sharing firepower to compete nationally, and the Aztecs are operating with around $3 million in men's basketball funding. That sounds a lot until you realize 30-plus programs nationally are north of $10 million. Kentucky is reportedly at $22 million, and San Diego State is heading into a new Pac-12 with Gonzaga, which is a basketball-only juggernaut with full revenue share. They're going to get the football money, and guess what they're going to do with it? Like we've said so many times, pump it directly into basketball. Brian Dutcher isn't complaining, but he is kind of warning everybody, how can San Diego State continue to overachieve before money finally wins? And that's going to be a topic of discussion, I think, for the next couple of years to come. But we do got to get to some women's basketball. They're the most trustworthy team in town right now. While the men are navigating chaos, the SDSU women's basketball team are rock solid, 17-3 overall, 11-0 in conference. The Aztecs have won 13 straight, beating Nevada 67-54 at Viejas. Defense, balance, depth, same formula every night. Tigers going to spend a lot of money on 2 pitchers this year. Sounds like Tarek Skubal is going to get the $32 million, which breaks a record for the highest arbitration earned ever.
I'm shocked by that.
I am a little surprised by that because I thought for sure, based on the way arbitration works, these players get screwed all the time. But when you start thinking about like how it's compared to, they just updated on Fangraphs, how it's compared to like him in his final year, it's like, it was going to be hard for the Tigers to argue that he deserves to get paid less than $25 million, which is the middle value. And so arbiters probably like, all right, well, we got to give him the $32 million. I wonder if the Tigers spending the $38 million on Framber Valdez, everybody's like, hey, maybe we should give Tarek Skubal the money. That's assuming he stays on the Tigers, dude.
I don't know. I mean, that's...
Did you see that article today by Ken Rosenthal?
No.
Everybody's favorite journalist?
I tend to not pay attention.
One rival executive granted anonymity for his candor speculated Wednesday night that a potential trade partner for the Tigers might want to see what Skubal gets in arbitration before finalizing its proposed blockbuster. If the Tigers traded Skubal after signing Valdez, their fans would be perfectly justified marching on Comerica Park in a massive protest.
Yeah. But we got a big left-handed pitcher for you guys.
Well, we got you somebody
we
just
got
as
him.
good. It's Framber Valdez.
We spent more money on Valdez, as a matter of fact.
No. Well, we'll see. Just as long as that guy doesn't end up on the Dodgers, I'll be okay with it.
I don't. I mean, good news is it would only be for 1 year. I mean, that's the only bit of good news you can get from that, right?
That
Right?
would only be for 1 year.
It would only be 1 year, right?
Yeah. Insert Star Wars meme here. $32 million in arbitration, record setter. Their payroll just jumped.
It was going to be a record no matter what. Even if he lost.
Yeah, even if he lost,
was
it was still a record in terms of like the money with arbitration. Their estimated payroll for 2026 for the Tigers jumped.
Yeah, you think?
They added an additional $60 million. They were paying $155 million last year. They're now paying $215 million for their roster this year.
Trying to win, guys.
Everybody's trying to win. How about the Pirates?
We're trying.
Pirates trying to win. Pirates trying to win. Pirates were in on Framber Valdez.
Go Aztecs. Why would you put that into the ether?
Stop it.
Why
Foul.
would you say
Foul.
that?
Why would you then click on it?
Why would you even? Why would you? Well, it's already out there. It's not going to make it more out there.
You're doubling down on it. You are Dylan Dinglering it. I mean, we can start learning these Tigers names fast. All right. So yesterday, I was having a conversation with somebody that knows the Lacob family, and I mean, he said a lot of good things about Joe Lacob and his family, and you know, I guess his sons help him run the Golden State Warriors, and the guy wants to win, and he spends money to win, and you know, he said he really liked his interactions with Lacob, and said that he'd be a great guy to have with this organization. And out of the group of the three that have been mentioned, he is worth the least amount of money. And if he's the guy that's going to spend money and want to win, I mean, he's got 5 NBA championships, then yeah, sign him up. I just, the three the three potential buyers of the San Diego Padres that have been released to the media, Frank, are three guys that you want competing to buy the Padres, because these are guys that want to go, they want to win. And it's different from these other owners that have recently have spent money. But the owners that have bought teams for more than $2 billion, these are not owners that are just trying to hang on to an asset for 10 years. These are guys that want to spend money and win.
Correct.
So I think Padres fans, as nervous as you are, you gotta have you're gonna have to. First of all, a sale is coming, so take a deep breath, prepare yourself for a sale, and then on top of that, understand that they're going to take a little bit of time to figure everything out that they want to do. But the difference here is, though, Frank, and we talked about this off air. Usually, when teams sell, it's because they're losing money, or they're not getting people to go to games, or they need a new stadium and the owner doesn't want to deal with it anymore. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why, and the owners just cash out. The Padres are unique in a situation of their owner passed away. And the family, I think, by putting the team up for sale and saying, like, we want them to be able to, like, they might not be into it as much as Peter was. I think I think that's way better than like them just trying to pretend that they want to keep the team. And so now they're actually doing something that nobody ever would do. They're not keeping it for an asset. They're selling. And they're trying to find somebody that wants to continue Peter's legacy. Now, it happens a lot when you buy and sell houses. I mean, not everybody goes for the highest bid. Some people want to listen to how you're going to treat their asset that they have had, and something that has been personal to them when it comes to like a house. I mean, that's why right now in the housing market in San Diego, when you're trying to buy a house, sometimes you got to write like a letter of, I'm going to live in this house and I want to upgrade this and I want to make this a house for my family. And that goes a long way. And sometimes that gets picked over an investment group that comes in that just wants the same thing happening right here. There's no guarantee, right? And, I'm sure they could lie and all this other stuff, but the Seidler family is trying to find a buyer that fits a certain criteria. And right now, these three individuals, I think, are fitting the criteria of, as they mentioned in the seller's agreement, if you will, that they want somebody to honor Peter's legacy. I'm telling you, I think you can trust the Seidler family in picking a ownership group that they're not trying to find the highest bid because they don't care. They're trying to find a perfect fit to continue what their brother started. And that's a major difference for everybody that's brought up how, millionaires and billionaires, and I just hate billionaires because I don't have the money that they have kind of nonsense. Okay? This is a different situation than what other organizations have gone through that usually go through sales. It's a completely different situation. This is not a team that is looking for a new ballpark. This is not a team that struggles to get people to go to games. This isn't a team that doesn't have any stars and is not very good. This is a team whose owner passed away. And they're trying to find an ownership group that wants to keep the legacy going. So, to me, I think you're going to be in good hands. I think with any of these three owners, you're going to be in good hands. I think all three of them want to own a team and they want to win with the team. I think they're going to treat the team like it's their yacht. And people that have money, that have yachts, don't let it get decrepit. They enjoy it. They use it. They put money into it. And I think that's what's going to happen with the new ownership group of the Padres. They're not trying to sell the team to the highest bidder. This is a different situation. This is not an ownership group that is just trying to get rid of the asset and they don't care. This is an ownership group that has specifically said that they want whoever takes over to live up to Peter's legacy. And you know what? You got to trust them on that because they've given you no reason not to trust them this entire time. It's not like that when it comes to deals all the time. It's not always the highest bidder, even though you see that with players. What is an extra $100 million going to do to people that are already making hundreds of millions of dollars? It doesn't really mean anything. It comes to a level that they have enough money anyway that they're going to find the right fit. There's a lot of people that sell their houses like that. And there's going to be a lot of, and this is an ownership group that's going to do exactly what they said they did. Exactly what they said they're going to do. So, if you're worried about that, there's nothing you could do about it anyway. There's literally nothing you could do about it. I mean, the Padres are going to sell, and they're going to be selling a new ownership group, and whatever that ownership group does is what they want to do, and there's nothing you could do about it. So there's really no reason to complain about it. But Frank, I see the situation as drastically different than any other situation involving team selling.
Yeah, the Padres are at their zenith. You have never been more popular. You've never been better than you are in this moment in the history of the franchise. So for somebody to come in to tear it down, strip it for parts, move it, it makes absolutely zero financial sense for anyone to go and do that. You are in a drastically different spot, not just from what you said with this is an owner that passed away and a family who's graciously stepping aside to allow someone to run it the way it deserves to be run. But you're also in a position of popularity that you've never been in before. So you're also going to be bringing in and drawing interest from the guys who want to build off of that. With this new ownership, of course, there's always reason to be worried, as was said in the interview this morning. But you're in a very, very good place right now. If you're the Padres and if you're a Padre fan, I wouldn't be too concerned about the direction that this new ownership is going to be taking the team in.
You know, somebody in the chat goes like, well, what about them saying they didn't want to sell and now they're selling? Well, you know what?
Listen,
they obviously realize that they don't have that same love that Peter did for the team, and they want the team to be in good hands because they loved being here in San Diego and they want to help bring the, Peter's vision of winning a championship here. And if they don't think they could do it and think somebody else can, isn't it more honorable for them to do that than to just hang on to the team and pretend like they do?
110%.
They're doing something that no other ownership group would do. And that is sell for the betterment of the team. It's good for them. I think that's a very cool thing for them to do because they love the city of San Diego and what their brother built. So I find it to be, I don't know why you wouldn't trust the Seidler family at this point.
And Augie just said in the chat, if the remaining family members don't want to manage the organization, you can't force someone to, right? But also the way you see people with a lot of money do, there's just as equally a likelihood that they could have and just ran it into the ground and said, "Hey, we're trying."
I'm going to say this right now. Anybody else puts a chat that they could potentially move, you're getting banned.
They're not moving.
They're not moving.
There's no
financial sense for them to move. It makes zero sense. Any sense that is any argument for them moving, we have poked a hole in it almost immediately every single time. They're not moving. The team is not moving. They said they're not moving. They have a lease. There's no reason Major League Baseball would move an asset like the Padres out of an area that is filling every game, that has a awesome stadium. It doesn't fit any criteria of leaving. Stop letting the Spanos family burn you, because that's what it is.
A low percentage, but still a chance. There's a
chance for everything.
There's a low percentage the Yankees move out of the Bronx.
They could still move.
They could move. They could leave.
Dodgers could move. They could tear down their stadium and go move somewhere else.
They've done it before.
Yeah, they've done it more times than the Padres have. It's a low percentage chance that the world ends tomorrow. I mean, if we want to play the percentage chance game, that's probably a higher percentage chance there, Cole. But again, stop worrying about the selling of the team as the team is moving because a Forbes article decided to write about it. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. We're going to go to break. Braden Surprenant Show when we come back. We're officially 1 week closer to the 2026 Olympics, and you can feel it across the NHL. Contenders are tightening up, bubble teams are panicking, and the trade market is starting to move before the pre-Olympic roster freeze. Islanders dealing inside the Metro, adding Carson Soucy from the Rangers and Palat from the Devils. That's not a rebuild move. That's a team saying, we're in this thing right now. And with February looming, the NHL schedule loaded with measuring stick games that are going to tell us who's real and who's fooling themselves. You are the local Islanders fan. How do you think about the Islanders deciding to make these moves and try to get themselves part of contention?
I mean, there are moves that, especially later in the season, the Islanders have had a really hard problem, have had a really big problem recently getting goal scoring, and to get guys like Carson Soucy and Andre Palat from out of their own division. I mean, that can only help the New York Islanders as we enter the last week before the Olympic break.
Let's look at the power rankings in the NHL, the first half of the season, if you will. Top of the league, the real contenders right now, Colorado Avalanche, still the standard. Colorado's the best team in hockey, and it's not particularly close. 76% points percentage tells you everything. The Avs aren't just winning, they're dictating how games are played. Their big matchup, February 26th against Minnesota. That's a playoff preview, plain and simple, and Colorado feels inevitable right now.
Yeah, and the Avalanche have been a very, very good team, even from the outset of the season. I believe they were about 6 or 7 games in before they lost their first game to the New York Islanders. But yeah, the Avalanche look poised to get on another Stanley Cup run. The only thing you'd caution that is the last couple of years, the President's Trophy winner hasn't really fared all that well in the playoffs. And if there's one sport where that 8 upsetting the number 1 is most prevalent, it's the NHL. So nothing is a given despite how good a year you may have had.
Here are the other teams that are part of the contenders. Tampa Bay and Carolina on the Eastern Conference collision course. This is a real Eastern Conference Finals type preview. Tampa hasn't gone anywhere. Carolina is ruthless, structured, and deep. Bruins and Lightning in the Stadium Series looks fun, but Hurricanes Lightning on February 26th might be the game that actually matters if you care about June hockey.
Yeah, that game against that Stadium Series game between the Bruins and Lightning was absolutely crazy. Third period, Lightning are down 5-2. There's a goalie fight, and then Tampa Bay wins in a shootout, 6-5. So it is incredible how good Tampa Bay is, and Carolina has been ruthless over these last couple of years. They are a team that is built for a Stanley Cup for sure.
In the Western Conference side, Dallas and Minnesota built for the long game. Dallas continues to quietly do everything right. Minnesota keeps proving it belongs in the Central's top tier. These are teams nobody wants to see in a 7-game series. Goaltending, structure, and patience, February hockey that translates to April.
Absolutely, and especially with everything going on in Minnesota right now, the entire city is behind that Wild team, trying to propel them to a Stanley Cup. So that might be one of the most dangerous, if not the most dangerous team in the Western Conference right now.
Here's the Surge and the Slide group, the Buffalo Sabres. This is real. Buffalo is officially for real. They've climbed into the Atlantic top 3, and their games against Florida this month are massive. This isn't a fun young team Buffalo anymore. This is, we expect to make the playoffs, Buffalo.
Yeah, the Sabres have really turned it around. They've spent so many years. They've had guys like Jack Eichel and Ristolainen come through that team that they were never able to make work, and now they finally have a group that has made the New York Rangers the 3rd best team in New York.
Florida Panthers, dangerous again. The Panthers have climbed fast. The Battle of Florida on February 5th matters a lot, more than people realize. Nobody wants to see Florida as a wild card. Nobody.
No, and you're also getting one of the Kachuk brothers back as well, so that's a big issue for everybody in the Atlantic.
All in or fool's gold for the Islanders. I mean, that's a look at a team that has gone all in, but is it going to burn them?
I don't think so. This team has been very solid. They have their identity. They have their play style under head coach Patrick Waugh. I would be surprised if this comes falling apart for them.
And the last thing for you, the bubble chaos. This might be the messiest playoff race we've seen in years. Montreal, Vegas, Boston, Utah, Anaheim, Los Angeles, San Jose, Seattle, all clumped together. One bad week, you're out. One hot goalie, you're in. I mean, the West wildcard race is going to be absolute carnage. You got Kings and Oilers on February 26th. Matters not just emotionally, but existentially for Los Angeles. Sharks and Blackhawks featuring Celebrini and Bedard. That's the NHL selling the future while chasing the present. Plus, of course, the Anaheim Ducks, who we're paying attention to. That young group has been very scary in so far this season, and big surprise team. Anaheim has arrived early.
Ben Afquack has been kicking in streaks. Unfortunately, those streaks have been followed by long periods where he hasn't been kicking. So the Ducks are a very, very good team, but they still have some growing up to do.
February is about to be ruthless. And then if you look at the bottom of the NHL, Rangers openly selling, Blues flirting with franchise alternating trades, Canucks are in a full teardown mode, Capitals staring down the unthinkable, missing the playoffs after leading the East last season. It's going to be a fun second half of the NHL. All guests on 97 to the Fan, join us on the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys helping good people regain control of their future, win charge of the crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. We're on every day from 10 to 2 here at America's finest city on a beautiful day here in paradise. Again, I just the ownership thing. The Padres are selling. They're going to find a buyer, and I'm giving you reasons to be optimistic. And the thing is, this is like the guy the other day was like, convince me to be positive. If I got to try to convince you to be positive about this team based on where everything has been with the Padres, you're just looking to be negative, and there's no convincing you. There just really isn't. I'm just telling you. This is a different situation. If you want to continue to look at the negative and look at life in a negative viewpoint, I can't change you on that. But if you want to look at from a glass half full on this potential sell of the team, not everything is terrible all the time. Not everything is always terrible. And I know it seems like that as a San Diego sports fan because we've never won a championship here. But at the same time, it gets to an exhausting level of negativity. I've experienced that in my own life. I mean, I've been a very negative person for a lot of times in my life. And the people around me have said, like, you can't keep going like this. Nobody wants to hang around you anymore. But to have a more positive outlook on this, from looking at it from a positive light, the Padres selling as an organization to somebody that actually wants to run, control, and run the club is good news. And trying to find that person that they said to live on Peter's legacy, that is good news. They're trying to do it. And to go back to the trust thing, because, okay, so they said that they were going to keep the team, and then a year later they decided to sell, therefore we can't trust these guys anymore. They said that they were going to spend money and try to win a World Series. They have done that ever since they showed up from the organization. This is the best time to be a Padres fan. There has been no other time in San Diego to be better than a Padres fan. There's not a single time. You can't give me another time on this planet over a 5-year span that it was better to be a Padres fan than right now. What do you want to give me? 92 to 98? 93 to 98? I mean, like, what time period do you want to give me? 5 years. There has not been a better 5 years for Padres baseball than the last 5 years that they have just been on. There hasn't been. You have recognizable stars on the team in Major League Baseball. You have young, great players in Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jackson Merrill. You have veteran players that are household names. You got the brown and gold uniforms back. You got an awesome stadium that's voted #1 in America every single year. You have sellout crowds day in and day out. And you've made the playoffs 3 out of the last 4 years and have gone to the National League Championship Series. Look, I understand everybody wants the #1 thing, but from a realistic standpoint, there has been no better time to be a Padres fan than right now. And you have to give some credit to the people that owned the team for the last decade plus for turning this franchise from a perennial loser to a perennial winner. And just because they haven't won a World Series doesn't classify them as a winner, because it does. Making the playoffs is winning in Major League Baseball. You make the playoffs, weird things happen. It's hard to win a World Series. Just ask LA, who's done it the last 2 years, how many years in a row that they went without winning one. I mean, it was like a decade plus. Took them forever with the best team and the best resources. They still couldn't even do it. But this is the best time to be a Padres fan. And if you want to doom and gloom and say the team's moving and everything's going to go bad and all this other stuff, go ahead. But worrying about stuff that you can't control is just going to ruin your life. Stop it. It's not good. It's just going to make you miserable. Have an open mind. Have an open mindset. Let's get to the sports thread.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk. Brought to you by QC Kinetics. Stop sitting on the sidelines. QC Kinetics gets you back in the game without surgery. To learn how, visit QCkinetics.com.
This is what I'm talking. The negativity I'm talking about. Only making the playoffs because of the format. Under the old format, Padres don't sit the playoffs. Under the old format, a lot of teams don't make the playoffs when you only had one. You only had the World Series. That was it. Champion of the NL played the champion of AL. You could just eliminate all of those playoffs. They don't really count anymore because that's the new format. You can say the same thing. Crazy. Negativity today. Come on, man. A positive outlook. Get to the sports thread. You could be an NBA fan.
You could be an NBA fan, which is what we're going to do right now.
Number 1.
Basically, we're going to take the next couple minutes here to take a look at some of the things that have happened over the NBA trade deadline. A couple of the bigger moves, one of them coming today. The New York Knicks, after beating the Denver Nuggets in double overtime last night, getting guard Jose Alvarado from the New Orleans Pelicans for Dalen Terry, 2 second-round picks, and cash. A couple of other big trades that have come around. Saw last night. Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield are going to Atlanta for Kristaps Porzingis, who is now going to be a Golden State Warrior. And I think probably the biggest note that has come out of the NBA trade deadline right now is what came out this morning, that Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to finish the season as a Milwaukee Buck. The Bucks have said that they are going to maintain, they're going to stay pat with him, and they are going to hang on to him for the remainder of the year. That's
the biggest news, I think, of the day. All right. We talked about that earlier this week. We were talking about on our updates, our weekly updates that we play for breaks now. And we're discussing how the Bucks shouldn't trade Giannis yet. Wait to the offseason where you can get a lot. Wait to the offseason where you can get a lot and really improve the team if you really are focused on trading Giannis Antetokounmpo. Not like some quick deadline move. So I'm surprised by that, because I thought it also would have been a mistake for Cleveland to trade for James Harden. They did. But the Giannis one was interesting to me. How about the Mavericks? 1 year of Anthony Davis. That's it.
Not even a year of Anthony Davis.
A year. They didn't even make it 1 year. Terrible.
Well, I mean, not as far as like full season of games.
He's never going to play a full season anyway. Guy's hurt all the time.
Yeah, true. Looking through also, this is something, speaking of that Anthony Davis trade, we now know the names of who's going where. I had the list. Hold on. Oh, there it was. Let me get back to it here. So the trade for Anthony Davis. So going to Washington is going to be Anthony Davis, Jaden Hardy, D'Angelo Russell, and Dante Exum. So pretty much Dallas sent all the guys pretty much that they got from the Lakers for Luka Doncic to Washington in exchange for Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Malachi Branham, Marvin Bagley III, 2 first-round picks, and 3 thirds. What are you
They're trying to win their
doing?
fan base back? I don't know.
You win the fan base back by trading away everyone that you got. It's like the Nationals trading all the guys they got in the Soto trade.
What the deadline ends in 7 minutes, right?
I believe so.
It ends in like 7 minutes. Okay, so the big picture themes that ESPN pointed out, where the cap management is driving everything. Second, apron fear is real. Teams are prioritizing tax avoidance almost as much as talent. Stars are moving, but context matters for this. Several blockbuster names have changed teams, yet many moves were about flexibility more than immediate title pushes. And the middle class being squeezed in the NBA. Rotation players and former lottery picks being flipped for second rounders at a staggering rate. That's kind of the overall theme of this year's NBA trade deadline. And the cap matters. I'd like to see a trade deadline for Major League Baseball with a salary cap and floor.
It would be interesting, wouldn't it?
You might get a lot more. You might get a lot more moves and stuff. And baseball's trying to get to that spot.
You might see it next year. Who knows? I mean, that's where baseball looks like it's headed, and they're not going to stop until they get there. At least this time, they look like they're dead set on getting a salary cap.
You a Knicks fan? No?
Yes.
Do you watch the NBA Knicks? The Jose Alvarado pick, it's an A+ value.
Yeah, that's not
according
a bad
to ESPN.
Yeah, that's not a bad trade either.
He replaced Miles McBride's minutes while fitting New York's brutal cap reality. You fix the cap, you get an addition, defensive pest, improved shooter, playoff usable guard. Not a bad move for the Knicks.
They also got Dalen Terry too as a forward from the Bulls.
Part of their fire sale that they had again.
Is
What's Chris Ello have to say about the Bulls fire sale?
The Bulls haven't been fire selling. They've actually gotten some decent guys.
They've netted 9 second-round picks. They traded Kobe White. They've traded away 5 or 6 guys, and they got no first-rounders in return. Fire sale. Fire sale.
Mike Connolly, legendary Bull, was there for all of 10 minutes.
Nice. Drake Hills joins us next. San Diego FC update.
San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the gas lamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
New lunchtime hour on 97 to the Fan. Nate, where's Nate Taylor been, man? It's been a while. He's finally back on. Saw some of the artwork today for the commercial breaks.
Missed a spelling class too, apparently, much as we all have this week on the show.
That's right.
Both here and in chat.
Well, Big Chop, dude. Big Chop was trying to throw shade and he misspelled stuff 3 times. And then he ended up calling himself Frank Jr. I think he misspelled Orioles too after that. All right. So this is we're not going to have Drake on tomorrow. We have different things going on tomorrow. So he's going to come on today. He's going to come on right now. He joins us on the David B. Shapiro fan hotline. Talking about San Diego FC and what a great start to the season they have jumped out to with a big win in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Drake Hills, who joins us each and every Friday, joining us on a Thursday today. He writes for Black Players for Change. He also contributes to ESPN.com with some of their soccer coverage. Drake, what's going on? Happy start to the MLS. Well, not really the MLS season, but San Diego FC season.
Yeah, the San Diego FC season is definitely alive and well. 4 goals in your first ever game in 2026. It started pretty slow, and in a perfect San Diego FC fashion, they put 4 goals on one of the more stronger and competitive teams in Liga MX in Mexico.
Yeah, let's talk about the game specifically, and we mentioned this on our show earlier this week when it came to Punas Unum. I mean, they stayed in the locker room for a long time after that match. I think they were a little bit shocked at what San Diego FC was able to do, but they dropped, went down 1-0 early on, and they controlled nearly 73% of the possession from the start, yet didn't get any goals until the 60-whatever minute it was, the 68th minute when Manu Dua was able to get the first goal of the season. But what did you see out of San Diego FC in the first half, controlling possession but not getting any in the net?
Well, what I saw is a typical, on-the-road opposition defensive strategy from Pumas, and that is an incredibly low block. Yet, when they are in the position to take possession, they're going to try and do their best to apply pressure, play in between the lines. And, quite honestly, that first half goal from Pumas, it was interesting because if you watch the beginning of that game, there was a whole lot of, feeling each other out. And I think with San Diego being able to rest in their possession with Mikey Varas and being very direct as he is and playing very attacking soccer, the goal that happened, Coco Carrasquilla basically takes the ball off of his teammate and runs to the end line and just tries to play a hopeful, mid-level cross into Robert Morales. And Morales gets on his mini bike, and, it's a SC top 10 type goal. But it wasn't as if San Diego FC was clawing and scratching just to stay in the game, and I think if you look at the game in its entirety, like to your point, Braden, a lot what San Diego did was to apply that pressure through aerial service, getting a lot of crosses into the box. And so whether it be a set piece when Manu Dua gets the goal off of a corner kick, or it's just normal crosses in the run of play, San Diego FC applied that pressure and was able to get on the front foot, and I think that was the difference.
Yeah, they did a lot better on set pieces in the game on Tuesday than they had probably a little bit last year. But that was a big breakthrough point for San Diego FC where they got the 2 goals, but then the floodgates open. They scored 4 goals in 18 minutes, Drake. I mean, and they didn't use Anders Dreyer. He had the 1 assist on the corner for Manu Dua, but aside from that, he wasn't involved with these particular goals. It really showed the depth, but 18 minutes, 4 goals, that's pretty efficient for San Diego FC.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think a couple of players outside of Anders Dreyer that I was really pleased to see, obviously Marcus Ingvarsson. We talked about him last week. He had an injury-laden 2025. He was supposed to be the star number 9. It was supposed to be Anders Dreyer on the right, Chucky Lozano on the left, and Marcus Ingvarsson in the middle, and that was going to be a very potent attack. And so good to see Marcus back. He started the game. A couple of other players that we saw, obviously Manu Dua filling in for the departing Paddy McNair, Luca Bombino, who is another addition to SDFC midway through last season. He fills in for a departing Franco Negri. So there were a couple of pieces that have stepped up that I love to see in that starting 11. I'm curious to see what maybe someone like we saw Pedro Soma come in. He's a young national team player for the U.S. men's national team. So I'm excited to see what he is. He's only 19. Like, there's a promising future for him. And obviously, Jeppe Teverskov, he's going to be pivotal as a number 6 in not just as an MLS All-Star, but honestly could be an MLS Best 11, someone who could, support the attack as well. So I'm curious to see what the bench will look like moving forward. We saw David Vasquez get a goal. We saw Ian Pilcher come into the game. Alex Mighton got a goal as well. So it was probably the best opening game that you probably could have asked for, Braden, if I do say so myself.
Now, this is not the end. They will play Pumas Unum one more time, and they will do that down in Mexico as this home and home part of the first round of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So coming up on February 10th will be their next game, and then they won't play an MLS match until later on in the month of February when they open up against Montreal here at Snapdragon Stadium. Explain for us, Frank tried to the other day, but it's an aggregate for these 2 games. San Diego FC leads the aggregate 4-1 as they dramatically shift the pressure onto Pumas. But away goals count for more. So with San Diego FC winning 4-1 at home, now what needs to happen in the next game with aggregate goals? Can you explain that for our listeners that might be into soccer for the first time?
Yeah, so essentially, if you want SDFC to move on, you want them to get a goal on the road. I think that will essentially clear out, the away goal. That'll be your insurance, given any possibility that Pumas would welcome SDFC onto their home ground and score 3 goals at the outset and make this some sort of game. It's 4-1. Obviously, Pumas has the 1 away goal, so if they were to be able to get the 3, they would be advancing over San Diego FC on away goals, even though it's tied at 4-4. So I think if San Diego FC can get a goal on the road, whether that be a clean sheet or whether they finish 1-1, I think that's your insurance policy for moving forward. Essentially, you could say that an away goal can count as 1.5 on the score aggregate. It's just enough to supersede, be as a tiebreaker. It's like the first tiebreaker in a double leg matchup.
From this point, if they're able to advance, then it goes to single elim?
Well, so basically what will happen is they'll go into the second round, and that will also be a double leg matchup. I don't know who they would potentially play. I mean, quite honestly, excuse my confusion, but sometimes they redraw. I know UEFA has done that historically, and sometimes they remain in the bracket. But I do know that it'll be a double leg matchup.
What did this game mean for San Diego FC in terms of coming off of last season and leading into this season? We talked about it like from a pregame perspective of trying to show the MLS that last year wasn't a one-off year, that last year wasn't a fluke of a season for San Diego FC, and that they could do it at a international level, if you will. What was your biggest takeaway from the game against Pumas Unum earlier this week about San Diego FC going into 2026?
Well, I would say I'll start with the short term, and then I'll move towards the historical part of this and thinking more continentally. Short term, it means that San Diego FC is a lot deeper of a team than expansion teams usually are. And what they're proving, at least in terms of the first game of the season, is that, hey, we don't need Chucky Lozano. We have a star in Anders Dreyer. We have one of the best midfielders in Yepi Teverskov. We have incredible role players in Amal Pellegrino. We have a good striker we can depend on in Marcus Ingvartsen. And we have young, talented players, Ian Pilcher, Luca Bambino, Pedro Soma. Like, we have the pieces needed to be competitive in this league. Now, the question will be answered, I think, more solidity once we get to the back end of the World Cup. Once we get on the back end of the World Cup, we can start to see, okay, will teams be able to figure out San Diego FC? You know, you think about Nashville FC after their pretty strong performance in 2021 and 2020. They were able to come out very strong. Atlanta, same thing, 2017, 2018. They're one of the best teams in MLS. LAFC, same thing. Up against the pandemic, they were one of the best, most attacking, beautiful attacking teams we've ever seen in Major League Soccer. But once you hit that threshold, whether it be it's the next season or the third season, teams will start to figure you out, and they'll start to key in on your best players. And that's when you'll be able to show, okay, we're here to stay and we're here to be competitive. Now, in terms of CONCACAF, this is tricky because the way the schedule is set up, you really are applying all of your resources at the start of every season. Keep in mind, there have only been really two teams that have won the CONCACAF Champions Cup. One was over 25 years ago when LA Galaxy won it. But really in this current rendition, right, the CONCACAF Champions Cup, it's only in its third year. But if you were to go back to 2022 when Seattle Sounders had won it, that really took a lot from their MLS campaign. They were bottom or mid-tier Western Conference team during that year because they were playing and applying their best players in CONCACAF Champions League play. So that's going to be the challenge, I think. But if San Diego FC can make a run, or even better, make a final appearance in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, that is historic.
Last question for you, Drake, because I know you're a busy man today and got to get through a lot of different stuff. Thanks again for joining us on a Thursday. But going into the MLS season for San Diego FC, and you've kind of talked about it already, but they don't have Chucky Lozano anymore, and he's still there, and they're still paying for him to be there, and they got to figure out a way to get him off the roster. But based on the first game, I know it's kind of early to say, but they gave the extensions to, I think, the right people, and Mikey Varas and to Anders Dreyer. And, with this era of San Diego FC soccer, I mean, based off the first game, I think you would probably agree. But what do you think about them really going in on some of these young players, but also making Anders Dreyer really the new face of this organization and believing in what Mikey Varas did last year is not a fluke?
Yeah, I certainly think that they made the right decision. They have one of the better tactical managers in MLS. I mean, this is not someone who just popped up yesterday, right? This is a guy who was a part of one of the best academy systems in MLS, in FC Dallas, who has had a partnership with FC Bayern Munich in Germany, has been one of those youth clubs that have won trophies at the Generation Adidas Cup, where they invite youth clubs from all over America and the Americas and all over the world to compete. And they've played in tons of other tournaments. He's also been someone who is managed and coached in the U.S. soccer system. So this guy has enough rank to take this team to a high place. And I think he's young enough to have that moxie and that attitude and that swag as well. And I think that matters for a dressing room. But I think also, in addition to Anders Dreyer and these young players, I think what this model does, Braden, is it also allows some financial flexibility, especially if they can get Chucky Lozano off the books sooner rather than later, preferably in the summer window, and to maybe send him back to Mexico, or maybe it's a trade within MLS, because the reality is that this could be the opportunity for San Diego FC to bring in someone, a high-profile name, maybe from Europe, maybe from elsewhere in the Rights to Dream system, that allows this team to kind of take that next level and give Anders Dreyer a scoring partner who many thought that's what Chucky Lozano would be in the long term. So I think that's something to look out as well.
Well, Drake, we'll get you on again before their next matchup, which will be on Tuesday, February 10th. They will go on to play Punas Unum, and then February 21st against Montreal, San Diego FC. Very short offseason for them. It was a quick turnaround, but they back at it, and it's good to have you on each and every week with us. Thanks again.
Absolutely. Hope to be back in studio, and if not, I'll see you guys at Snapdragon pretty soon.
That's right, Drake. We appreciate the time as always. We do got to get Drake back in studio, Frank. So we'll be doing
wearing
that.
multiple hats.
We'll do that soon. What's going on?
We had.
What are you watching over there?
No, they just did a reset of the system, and it.
That's fun. Hey,
botched the playlist.
All right, so do I got to kill time for another 3 minutes here? Or
You should probably do that.
All right, we'll get us back here. Bang. You got Hofstra action tonight?
Yes, Northeastern tonight.
Wow.
So that'll be fun.
How about that?
Absolutely.
I got USD women's basketball tonight. We'll see how they do. They continue to play tough. They're just coming up a little short every single time. Brand new year, first year for Blanche Alverson. We'll have that tonight. I will be on the call with Alex Miniak.
Hey,
how about that, huh?
Go.
Alex Miniak's my color analyst tonight. He's gonna do that, and then he's got PA announcing for Monster Jam, wherever he's supposed to be. He's in the.
I believe that's Snapdragon. I believe.
No, he does. He tours with the arena version of Monster Jam.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so that's so. I don't know where his current one is, but they have I guess there's multiple entities of Monster Jam.
Mm-hmm.
They have the arena, they have the outdoor, they have the stadium, and whatever. So he's part of the arena course, and then they fly him all over the place to be the PA guy of Monster Jam in the arena.
That's interesting.
Deal. So I don't know where he's at, but he's going to be pulling a Jack Cronin, as I like to call it, by calling a basketball game and then jumping on a red eye to go somewhere and then be ready to work the next day. Cronin does that all the time with USD Athletics, and I don't know how he does it. I don't know if I could do that. If I had to, maybe. But there will be times, because Jack does the play-by-play for the men's basketball and for football. And so there's been some times they play a Friday night basketball game in San Diego, and then football plays in the Pioneer League, and all of their road games are on the East Coast because that's what the Pioneer League is. So he will call a basketball game 6:30, 6 o'clock at the Jenny Craig Pavilion.
Mm-hmm.
He will then drive straight to the airport. He will take a red eye to the East Coast. When he lands, jumps in a rental car, drives to whatever he has to do, call the USD football game at 1 o'clock Eastern, and then get on a plane and fly home. You know what? Maybe Nicky P is onto something with the motocross thing. He does it a little bit different. At least he doesn't have to physically drive during the main chunk of this, being on an airplane, but still pretty impressive. We call that pulling a Jack Cronin. And you know what? Alex Miniak's going to do that tonight after he calls the game with me on ESPN Plus. When we come back, let's talk. We haven't talked about this yet, and I do want to get to it. What's going on with Puerto Rico in the World Baseball Classic? There's a lot of interesting factors with their participation potentially being in jeopardy. We'll talk about it when we come back. If you want to sum up the University of San Diego right now, it's heart, it's fight, and it's razor-thin margins. In the span of 1 week, the Toreros pulled off a miraculous overtime comeback at Pepperdine and then suffered a brutal overtime collapse at home against Oregon State. Same team, same week, two wildly different endings. The high point was Pepperdine. Let's start with in Malibu, because that win said a lot about this team. They were down 9 with under 5 minutes left. Tyler Johnson fouled out, who we talked about last week, is carrying the team offensively for this Toreros offense. And ESPN Analytics gave USD a 6% chance to win. And then what happened? Tenari Lane, he went nuclear. Season high, 21 points, multiple clutch threes late, and in overtime. Asan Diop puts up an absolute monster line, 21 points, 17 boards, 9 for 10 shooting, 5 Toreros score in double figures. USD executes overtime near perfectly. That's not luck. That's toughness. That's a team that believes even when the numbers say you're cooked. But then Saturday happened. The gut punch against Oregon State. They come up to Saturday. They're up 10 points with 128 left at home. Game is basically in your hands, and then it slips away. Oregon State hits 3 straight threes. USD commits 20 turnovers. Momentum flips. Even with Adrian McIntyre scoring 11 straight in overtime, it's not enough, and it hurts you even more in the standings because it was right there. USD did a lot right. They won the rebounding battle. They held Oregon State to 40% shooting. They got rim protection from Tim Moore Jr. and his 5 blocks. But late game execution, that's the difference between climbing the standings and staying stuck. And you're trying to play for buys and multiple buys in the West Coast Conference tournament. And Oregon State is a direct competitor. Now, you still get to play Oregon State one more time in Corvallis. But, Frank, this is a tough loss on Saturday after what was a very thrilling win in Malibu earlier last week.
Yeah, I got to watch a little bit of that game while I was preparing for UCSD versus CSUN. And that just looked so brutal, so painful, that loss against Oregon State, because the game was in your hands. You're up. I looked with you're up 8 with 50 seconds to go. I turn around and you're going to overtime. I'm like, that's insane. The turnaround there. But then again, you had the big comeback win against Pepperdine. You go into overtime against them and pull it off. It's a wild, Jekyll and Hyde week for the Toreros men's basketball side.
Yeah, and the scary part is, of course, with Oregon State, the loss to Oregon State. I mean, you're sitting now at 4-7 at West Coast Conference play. You could be 5-6 right now, and right out of a spot to have not only a day off Thursday, but even a day off Friday, and maybe even a day off on Saturday, because everybody is so close. Right now, you're in 9th place, and in 9th place, you're the first team. You're the last team in the group, first team to not get a bye in the West Coast Conference tournament. You're right now playing on Thursday, but it's tightly packed between 5th and 10th. I mean, a couple of wins can swing some things, and all of a sudden, instead of playing on Thursday of the West Coast Conference tournament, you're playing on Saturday. Or maybe you're playing on Friday, and that all adds up when you are going through the West Coast Conference tournament and then eventually having to run into a team like Santa Clara or St. Mary's or Gonzaga. You want to play them with as fresh legs as possible. And right now, with that loss, San Diego finds himself with the hardest path through the West Coast Conference tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you're coming up and you're playing St. Mary's at St. Mary's coming up this week. No pressure in that game. You can only supersede expectations going up against St. Mary's, and it's a great test to try to see what you got for the rest of this conference schedule.
Yeah, you only have to play St. Mary's once in conference play. You're knocking off the list. This was one of the games during your remaining games of the season that you expect that they're going to lose, right? From a fan perspective, obviously the team's not thinking that. So a loss up there is not going to kill you. It's a quad 1 game. It's a quad 1 opportunity. St. Mary's is very, very good, but they have to be able to answer after that. They got to play Oregon State well, and then they play the bottom of the schedule. They play LMU twice, who's behind him in the standings, and Portland twice, who's also behind him in the standings. 1 game against USF, 1 game against Oregon State. That is where you make your hay to try to play yourself out of Thursday. Now for women's basketball, they are competing through adversity. They're dealing with a lot of different things in terms of challenges than the men's team. They're trying to survive without key players, but they're still competing. They hung tough at first place Oregon State before shooting dried up. That's some interesting news. I don't know if So my buddy Ron used to live in City Heights. He used to work for us here at 97 to the Fan. He sends this article from Fox 5 San Diego. San Diego police arrest 4 after busting a legal gambling den in City Heights.
There you go.
And he goes, I miss City Heights, man. And then he goes, they bust one of these every 3 months.
It wasn't Jimmy, was it? Jimmy wasn't arrested, was he?
I don't know.
Oh, well.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Find out.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I guess we'll find out.
I know this happens all the time. I don't know what it is about City Heights, but apparently they have a bunch of illegal gambling dens going on over there. Because every 3 months, it's 100%. Ron sends me a different one. Here's the report. San Diego police have arrested 4 people after breaking up an illegal gambling den in City Heights. The third such bust in 7 months.
Oh, for God's
It's the third one. It's like mini Vegas over in City Heights, apparently. Quote, I looked outside and the alley was completely full of undercover cars, black and white. SWAT was here. A drone was up, said a neighbor who lives in the area. What is normally a quiet alley near this home turned into a scene he never imagined in his neighborhood. I couldn't tell what was up until the sun kind of came up a little bit better. I could see a little bit more, and I saw that they were putting things like things in the back of a cop truck. It looked like they were slot machines.
Oh, for God's.
Officer Anthony Carrasco said the discovery stems from a search warrant at a home on the 4300 block of Central Avenue early Wednesday morning. Quote, our detectives found 9 gambling machines with $625 worth of cash inside those machines, and they also found a semi-automatic handgun. The 4 people arrested face gambling-related charges, and it's not the first time San Diego police have responded to this type of scene. Quote, last month we served a similar search warrant and we found another, what we call gambling dens, said Officer Carrasco. That operation at another City Heights home on Euclid Avenue led to 9 arrests along with the seizure of 35 illegal gambling machines, more than $4,500 in cash, and a stolen loaded firearm. In December, more than 60 slot machines, cash, and narcotics were seized following a couple of warehouse raids, one of which was in City Heights.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. GEGE 000-466 for a full list of games and rules. Played at 7 Mile Casino.
I don't agree with a lot of things that Matthew San Diego 760 has said today, but I do agree with this. God forbid a man has a hobby. You know, okay, it happens once, fine. It happens twice. It's happened 3 different times in City Heights. Unbelievable. I mean, obviously it's a very serious matter too. I mean,
as someone who is growing up as a big fan of The Sopranos, there's a point in The Sopranos when Tony and Christopher are in the car, and Tony's yelling at Christopher saying, you must want to get caught. There comes a point where you do something that just screams, I'm here, come and catch me. Like I am doing a bad, please get me and stop me from doing the bad. And when you get busted 3 times in the same area,
we don't even know if it's the same.
Well, no, I'm just saying.
We don't even know, but the fact that there was 3 different gambling dens in City Heights.
Yeah, that's what I mean. When it's 3 times in 7 months, the same thing,
the same area,
you're trying to get caught at that point.
Hey, you know what? Nate's probably right. They're just really bad at being a mob. Definitely not the Italians.
I mean, we all start somewhere. We all have to learn at some point how to do certain things. This
is what I'm picturing here.
Let's just.
Do you remember the from one of the Ocean's movies where they're like trying to figure out the I think it's from the 3rd one. And the whole point of the 3rd one was to steal money from the casino, but not by having all the games get rigged. So like the people are stealing the money because they're just trying to rip off Al Pacino, who screws over one of their friends, right? Oh, stop it. That's a foul. Stop it. So anyway, in that scene in Ocean's 13, George Clooney's got a fake mustache. He's wearing a turtleneck, and Brad Pitt's like disguised too. And they're seeing how a guy's like trying to count cards, and he gets popped. And they grab the guy, the security at the casino, and they slam him against a slot machine, whatever. They run him off, and then they just kind of like, and then walk away.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm picturing. The people running these things, like going like, yeah, well, that's not working. Let's try something else. 3 different times. City Heights is like a little. They're trying to be Vegas, man. God forbid they have a hobby. Did you? It was like this one had 6 slot machines, and then they had 30. They had, a previous one had 35 slot machines, and then in December there was more than 60 slot machines. It's getting smaller and smaller.
So it was clearly a massive operation. Is what it was.
60 slot machines is crazy. Want Shohei Ohtani spotted in City Heights per my homie Rod? No, come on. It's low hanging fruit, my guy. It's low hanging fruit. What a story. I would imagine that was kind of the case, though. I think I can't remember. I think my buddy was thought about swinging by because somebody was selling one of those slot machines, and he was just going to have it in his house just for fun.
60 lingers.
They had 6, and then like the one in December was 60.
Yeah.
Wow. I think that's an interesting story. All right, when we come back, we got a couple minutes here. Let's get into the World Baseball Classic situation. We haven't really had time to talk about this. Puerto Rico's WBC participation is in real jeopardy. Perennial WBC contender and scheduled host for the Pool A games is considering withdrawing from the 2026 World Baseball Classic after losing a large number of its top players because they couldn't secure required insurance coverage. Star withdrawals due to insurance denials. Several key Puerto Rican players have been denied coverage by the WBC's insurer, making them ineligible to compete without risking their MLB salaries. Francisco Lindor denied insurance due to an offseason elbow procedure despite being cleared for spring training. Carlos Correa, insurance refusal tied to contract value and injury history. He faces losing his MLB 2026 salary if he's hurt. Jose Barrios, Victor Caratini, Emilio Pagan, Yaxel Rios, and others also reportedly denied. Why insurance matters? Obviously, it matters because the situation of Edwin Diaz. By the way, he got insurance. How did Edwin Diaz get insurance and nobody else did?
Because the Dodgers don't care. They got 3 people behind him.
This policy originally put into place after injuries like Edwin Diaz's 2023 World Baseball Classic knee tear that cost him a full season has become stricter and more expensive to obtain, leading to more denials this year. The impact on Puerto Rico in the tournaments, with sponsors and local organizers gearing up for games in San Juan, the loss of multiple star players is a both competitive and financial threat. Puerto Rican baseball officials have said a withdrawal is a real possibility if they cannot field a competitive team under equal conditions. Major League Baseball and the Players Association are reportedly lobbying the insurer to revisit some decisions, but time is short. Official rosters are due imminently. Here's the thing about the insurance, and I totally am on board with this. It's all of the United States and Japanese players are getting insurance right now, but Venezuelan players and the Puerto Rican players are not getting insurance. There needs to be conversations about getting these guys on these rosters and ready to go, because it takes away from the World Baseball Classic. On top of the fact that it seems, and the optics seem unfair, that why are these countries not getting the insurance, but yet every American player and every Japanese player have gotten the insurance?
I agree with you to a point. And that point is, yes, it definitely does take away from the World Baseball Classic. However, if you look at the guys on the list, you're looking, for the most part,
there's a lot of injury-prone guys.
They're older players making a lot of money that have a history of injury and or are just coming off of surgery in the same way that like Francisco Lindor is. So I understand the guys, of course, want to play, and you want to see all of these guys play, especially for their countries. But the national baseball organizations that run these teams are not paying the salaries. Puerto Rico, Diaz, Puerto Rican or Dominican? I don't remember.
Who? Edwin Diaz?
Yeah,
I think he's part of Puerto. I thought he was on the Puerto Rican team, but
the Puerto Rican team did not reimburse the Mets for the year that they lost of Edwin Diaz because he got hurt on their field in a game. He got hurt in a game playing for them. So that's where you see all of these guys. If you're just coming off of a surgery, or if you're old with a history of injury, if I'm a team owner, no, I'm not losing this guy for a game that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme.
Yeah, but
of
the
things.
conversation is the insurance company is denying the insurance.
You don't think the teams have a big say in that?
Well,
the teams are probably saying, "Hey, listen."
Yeah, but with the insurance, they get paid.
To.
They get paid, so they don't lose the money. So like they don't have to pay out of pocket. The whole point of the insurance is if Edwin Diaz goes down, the insurance covers his salary, and the Mets don't have to pay it. That. So why would the MLB team care if that's the case?
Because you signed the guy to help you win a World Series, which the last time I checked was a little bit more important than the World Baseball Classic. It comes around every year.
You're letting them play in the World Baseball Classic.
Right. The only guys that are having this issue are guys who are old and that have injury problems, or again, in the case of Lindor, is coming off of a surgery they had this offseason. It's not like they're blocking Ellie De La Cruz from playing. He's in. It's not like they're blocking Paul Skeens. He's young. He doesn't have an injury history. Let him go.
But the problem that Puerto Rico is saying is we can't even get insurance. Like there should be the insurance doesn't want to pick these players up. And their argument is, well, how come all of these other players that are also injury prone on other country teams getting the insurance where our guys aren't?
I understand that, and I do agree.
Why would you insure? Like, to me, it's pitchers that throw funky and all that other stuff. Those are ones that probably shouldn't get insurance. Like, I don't know how Edwin Diaz got insurance.
I have no idea either.
Because from the argument of like they're injury prone players, yeah, it's fine. But Edwin Diaz for the same country got granted insurance. Mm-hmm. Yet Lindor and some of these other players did not. And that's Puerto Rico's
surgery.
Yeah, but it's on the same line of Edwin Diaz actually physically got hurt in this particular deal.
Yes, and Edwin Diaz has played the last 2 years.
Right,
without injury.
It's the history. It's his insurance. Do you ever deal with insurance?
Unfortunately,
I mean, if it's happened before, that gets you a ding, is what I'm saying. So the fact that Edwin Diaz, who's already gotten hurt in the World Baseball Classic and had to physically use the insurance already, it's interesting that he got cleared and some of these other guys did not. They don't even want to insure him, like Carlos Correa. Like, he's a ticking time bomb with his shin, whatever, his foot, but. It's also not a massive deal. Like, again, I understand that it goes through the insurance companies, but I would not be surprised at all if the teams are going, hey, listen, like, for real, I get that they want to play, but we're paying him. We signed him. We're paying him. It's not the team. It's the insurance company is what the argument is.
I know.
Well, you don't sound like you know based on what you're saying. You continue to talk about the team going, we don't want him to get hurt. Not the insurance company going, I don't want to pay if he gets hurt. That's the argument. It's not being able to insure the players from the company.
What I'm saying is that I'm sure the teams are in the ear of the insurance company saying, don't let this guy play.
No, I don't think that's the case at all. I think that's a conspiracy.
I would not be surprised.
You know why? You know why? Because they would just tell the guy not to play. They would just do that to like go around. But then why wouldn't the Pirates tell the insurance company to not let Paul Skeens pitch?
I'm sure I would have told Juan Soto not to get on a camel right after a game, and he did it anyway.
The reality of the situation is Puerto Rico has all them and Venezuela can't get their players cleared with insurance companies, yet every other country that has the same type of players that you're mentioning is getting cleared. And that's the argument that Puerto Rico is making is players that are on other countries' teams that are MLB players that have big contracts that also have had injuries are getting the insurance, whereas our players are not. They have to find a way to get the insurance to make the World Baseball Classic work. And I agree with Puerto Rico. If they can't fill the team that's that competitive, they should pull out of it.
Correct. I agree with that as well.
They should. But I don't think it's the teams telling the insurance companies, don't insure this guy. They're getting the money back. Teams care about money. They don't want to lose Francisco Lindor because they don't want to pay for Francisco Lindor to not be on the team. But if they get the money back, they're not going to care as much. That they want the insurance. If they're going to let these guys play, they want the insurance. They want to get these guys cleared so they can get the money back if they get hurt. I don't think the teams are telling insurance companies to be the bad guy for them.
What's more important, having the money or having the guy on the field?
It's more important to have the guy on the field.
Thank you very much.
But if that was the case, Frank, they would tell them you're not allowed to play. That's what they would do. They're not going to back channel and tell insurance, hey, I need you to make sure that you can't guarantee coverage to Francisco Lindor because I want him playing for us. They would have a conversation with Lindor and be like, look, you can play for your country, but here's the reality of the situation. We don't want to pay your contract if that's the case. And so the players have to go get insurance. I don't think these MLB teams are trying to finagle it, and then why would they only do it for the Puerto Ricans? It doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. When we come back, since we're super late, we need to get a contestant for a midday sports standoff. Take me down to sports trivia, and you will be able to qualify for a chance to win tickets to Guns N' Roses coming to San Diego at Snapdragon Stadium on September 2nd. If you take me down to sports trivia, you'll be qualified for a chance to win our grand prize, 2 tickets to see Guns N' Roses at Snapdragon Stadium on September 2nd. Tickets at Ticketmaster.com. We will play the game when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. UC San Diego is at a real turning point right now when it comes to basketball. The women are still setting the pace in the Big West. The crowds are growing, and on the men's side, this week feels like one of those moments that can really define the rest of the season. Let's start with men's basketball. This is a must-respond moment for them after they fell to UC Santa Barbara at home last week. They had a little bit of a bounce back over the weekend, but UCSD is back at home at Lion Tree Arena Thursday night against Long Beach State, and this one matters more than the record might suggest. Tritons come in 15-8 overall, 5-6 in the Big West, having dropped 3 straight conference games for the first time in 3 years. The most recent loss at CSUN, where freshman Hudson Mays did a little bit of everything, 11 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, but UCSD couldn't keep pace late in the 81-64 loss. Now here's the context. Long Beach State sits 1 game behind UCSD in the standings. Only 8 teams make the Big West tournament. UCSD already beat Long Beach State 80-74 on the road back in December. Tritons lead the All-Division I Series 5-4, but this is not just a get-right game for UCSD. This is a standings game, and it comes at home where UC San Diego will play 5 of its 7 February games inside Lion Tree Arena.
Yeah, absolutely. And that game against CSUN over the weekend, that one got really, really rough for San Diego's for UC San Diego late. So that was a big kind of like an eye-opening game for them. Is there might be a couple of problems here, but a get-right game here against Long Beach State. You've already beaten them on the road, coming back home, friendly confines. We talked about it on the show on Tuesday with San Diego State, coming back, playing more difficult games on the road early, now coming back and being able to get them at home. This could be a big boost for UC San Diego against Long Beach State.
For a few reasons to watch closely. Alex Chaikin has been red hot from deep, ranking 2nd in the Big West Conference in 3-point percentage at 46.5%. When UCSD is spacing the floor, they are a different team. Hudson Myers continues to emerge. He leads the team in field goal percentage and is the best free throw shooter in Big West play. And Bull Dengit gives them size, rebounding, and rim protection, something they'll need against a physical Long Beach team. Plus, UC San Diego is 2nd in the Big West in home attendance during conference play, averaging nearly 3,000 fans per game, and recently played in front of a sellout crowd against UC Irvine. This program is learning how to handle expectations and pressure, but it's going to be a tough place to play for Long Beach State with the Tritons hosting them coming up later this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And UC, as you mentioned, UC Irvine had a sellout crowd in that game. So it's been very, very good and very much a home court advantage for UCSD whenever they come to Lion Tree Arena.
What's next, though? After Long Beach, it does not get easier for UCSD. They head to Hawaii on Saturday night, a place where very few teams win. But remember, UCSD already handed Hawaii its first conference loss earlier this season by out-rebounding a team that came in with the best rebound margin in the league. That tells you the Tritons can compete with anyone when they play to their identity. The big picture, though, UCSD isn't hiding anymore. They got the sellout crowds. Everything's building, but they got to be able to play their way into the Big West tournament. Now, as for the women are leading the pace. They're at the top of the leaderboard in West Coast Conference play. They've been playing great basketball so far this year, and it's a nice little bright spot in town when it comes to basketball with how successful the women's team has been.
Yeah, it's always great to see when you have one of the teams doing good, but especially to have both the men's and the women's team. The men's struggling a little bit, but still overall a very, very solid team. But to see the women setting the pace in the Big West, absolutely huge to see. And also nice to see some local media presence growing as well with games here on 97.3 The Fan.
That's right. Just for context, the UCSD women's basketball teams continuing to set the standards as mentioned before. Tritons went on the road and knocked off UC Santa Barbara 52-49 and a game-winning layup by Michaela Rose, then came home and dominated CSUN 82-67, forcing a program record 31 turnovers. Right now, the women's team is 10-1 in conference, sole possession of first place, 7-game road winning streak, winning games with defense, depth, and poise. Michaela Rose isn't just a scorer. She's also closing games and making history, setting a program record with 8 steals in one night. This team doesn't beat itself, and that's why it's sitting on top of the league in Big West Conference play. So talk about the men's basketball team a lot. We talk about the men's basketball teams in town, but the women's basketball teams here in San Diego have been off to really good starts to the season and are really looking to finish this thing off and close things off. So that's our update on UCSD. We'll be back next week. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. I want to mention coming up in the next 13 minutes, we are going to be announcing today's biggest fan. Remember to listen at 1 o'clock for us to announce today's biggest fan for a chance to qualify for a night in our Odyssey Suite at a future Padres game with all the fan staff. Register your name at 97thefan.sd.com/biggest fan in order to potentially have your name called. It's time to get to our midday sports standoff.
Is it now? That's interesting.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
No, it's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
All right, Frank, who we have playing today?
We have Kevin in El Cajon playing today. Kevin, how you doing today, bud?
Fantastic, gentlemen. How you guys doing?
Good, good. So today is our last show before the Super Bowl. We're not going to be here tomorrow. You're going to hear a best of show tomorrow. So with that, let's do a Super Bowl themed question today on this Mike Cameron day of all days. Today's question is, there have been 8 teams that the New England Patriots have faced in the Super Bowl. Who are those 8 teams? Kevin, you have the first guess.
The New York Football Giants.
Attaboy. Just get the correct answer off the board first.
The one that you can't. The one that they couldn't beat, man. The one that they could never beat. Eli Manning. The Rams played the Rams in the Super Bowl.
They have played the LA Rams / St. Louis Rams in 2002 and 2019. Kevin.
Let's go the Seattle Seahawks.
Seahawks in 2015 and this year, Braden.
They also played the Eagles.
The Philadelphia Eagles, correct. So the 4 teams that they have doubled up on, you guys have gotten. Kevin.
Ooh. Let's Carolina Panthers.
They faced the Carolina Panthers in 2004. By the way, the Eagles were 2005 and 2018. The Giants were 2008 and 2012.
They also played the Falcons. Falcons had a huge lead.
Yeah, I don't remember much about that game, actually. It's a rather forgettable game, I think.
Yeah, interesting.
So now it's interesting. You guys have left the 2 oldest ones as the last 2 to get, Kevin. You get this one, you're tied, which means you will win.
Let's see here. I'm going to say the Cowboys.
They have never faced the Dallas Cowboys in the Super Bowl. First strike, Kevin.
These are like the 2 Super Bowls that they lost, right?
Yes, they are. They did lose those 2.
They play the Packers.
They did play the Packers in 1997. So, Kevin, you need to get this one in order to tie. If Braden gets it wrong, it can come back to you, though.
Let's say the 49ers.
No, unfortunately, not the Niners. Let's see if Braden gives you another chance here.
So it has to be like before the 90s, like their first ever Super Bowl that they're in.
Yep. It's their first ever Super Bowl.
We're running out of teams in the NFC here. You can start like chopping off names that are not Super Bowl champions. They didn't play. I know it wasn't the Cowboys.
He already said the Cowboys. He said the Cowboys and Niners. Those are wrong.
Yeah, well, those are dominant NFC teams. It's got to be some like obscure one. I don't think it's the Vikings. It's not the Lions. They never made it. Is it the Bears?
Oh,
The Bears.
The Bears?
The Bears.
The Bears.
The Bears.
They're only Super Bowl.
That was my next guess.
It was the Bears. Kevin, I'm sorry. That is all 8. The Bears in 1986 was the year. They played the Packers in 97. Again, they played the St. Louis and LA Rams in 2002 and 2019. Panthers in 2004. Eagles in 2005 and 18. Giants in 2008 and 12. Seahawks in 15 and this year. And then the Falcons in 17.
We need to find a sounder for every team now.
We do. That'll be.
It's a project for during the summer. The dog days of summer, start adding NFL team sounds. There's got to be some stuff from like movies that you could play. I mean, you have to do the Arnold Schwarzenegger one for the Chargers, right?
Absolutely.
Go Chargers, go. Except for the fact they're saying go Chargers, which kind of sucks. But other than that, it's not a bad. We could think of other ones. So what do we have? What do we have sounders for now? We have the Colts.
We've got the Colts. We've got the Bears, the Broncos, and I think that's it.
Eagles?
Oh, the Eagles, yes. So we got 4. We got
That's it?
We got 28 to get. All right, cool.
I feel like we have more than that just because it seems like those teams are the teams that have played well this year and have always been in the news.
Well, no, those are the teams that have the most recent memes, so we just kind of go with it. I always say
we have
Bears
a Chargers one in mind, so that one's easy.
Yes.
So that knocks it down to
Madagascar, all hail the New York Giants.
That's good. That's a good one. I like that one. You could also probably clip off a lot of Chris Berman things.
Yeah, true.
Nobody circles the wagons. Like the Buffalo Bills. Probably a lot of those you could do. You need like an Eminem one for the Lions or something. Lions and Tigers and Bears. Oh, my.
Exactly.
All right. When we come back in the 1 o'clock hour, there's a couple of things that we hadn't had time to get to yet that we want to go back and get to on today's show. We will also talk a little bit of the Super Bowl as well as some basketball coming up, college basketball over the weekend. A lot to get to in the 1 o'clock hour. Final hour of the Braden Surprenant Show for the week on San Diego's number sports station, 97 through the Fan. This song perfectly describes the tail end of Frank's week compared to the beginning part of the week. Guy had a rough. Was that a Tuesday that you had a rough Tuesday?
That was a long.
It was a long, rough Tuesday for Frank, and now he's way less sad.
I am. It's been a good day. It's been a good day today. It's been a good last couple of days, actually.
It has been. It's been great. Beautiful weather outside. Now Frank would, he hopes it's colder, but I digress with that. He's got a big Hofstra game tonight. He's gonna lock into.
Got to Mitsua last night. Got the greatest. Hold on, let me get back out of the bag.
What do we got? What is this unboxing that's happening?
The greatest
shameless plug for
drink of all time. Now I shudder showing you guys this because that means you guys are going to go out and you're going to buy it and there's going to be none left for me and I'm going to hate all of you for it. But it's honey lemon lemonade.
What kind of shameless plug is this right now?
It's honey lemon lemonade. It is so good. It is. It tastes.
Is that what you had when you got home after a long day at work on Tuesday?
No, I didn't get these until last night. They taste like the yellow Gatorade. They are so good.
I like how San Francisco's hosting the Super Bowl, by the way. And the game's in San Jose. Like all of the media and all that stuff is in San Francisco. It's like an hour drive down to San Jose. Why didn't they just do it in San Jose? Oh, because San Jose is not as cool.
Semantics, dude.
Like ESPN right now has got, Jeff Darlington's on. He's outside the Seahawks hotel and stuff like that. And he's giving his little report. But they're at the stage. They're in San Francisco. That's like and they had, I forgot like Super Bowl media radio rows going on too.
Yes.
Advertising row, if you will.
Apparently the rumor was Dan Fouts had a bit of an issue on Radio Row.
Dan Fouts?
Yeah.
Or Ryan Leaf?
Oh, Ryan Leaf. That's what it was.
Yeah, Ryan Leaf got in the face of what's his name?
Former
of Pro Football Doc, who still lives in San Diego, Dr. Chow.
Yeah.
For like the history that he had back in with the Chargers and stuff like that. That was interesting. That's about the highlight of Super Bowl Radio Row. Looks like a gorgeous day in San Francisco. Too bad they're playing in San Jose. Did you hear Elo, by the way? So Elo's got, they're playing at San Jose this weekend, women's basketball for the Aztecs.
Okay.
They fly in and out of the airport that's right next to Levi Stadium. And I think he's flying out on Super Bowl Sunday. Flying out on Super Bowl Sunday.
Nice.
Hopefully gets to see the warm-ups as he leaves.
Yeah, right.
Speaking of the Seattle Seahawks, let's get to the... we didn't really have opportunity to talk about this earlier this week. But according to reports, Seahawks ownership could be headed for a historic change. Seahawks are expected to be put up for sale after Super Bowl 60, according to multiple league sources, though there is no official timeline. And the Paul G. Allen estate continues to publicly maintain that the team is, quote, not for sale, at least not yet. This all comes as the Seahawks prepare to face the Patriots in Super Bowl 60, coming up on February 8th in Santa Clara. Their first Super Bowl appearance since the 2014 season and a chance at a second Lombardi trophy in franchise history. What makes sense of a sale? Paul Allen's will clearly stated that his sport holdings, including the Seahawks, would eventually be sold with proceeds directed towards philanthropy. Jody Allen, who became a controlling owner in 2018 as trustee of the state, has always framed her role as temporary, not permanent. She already began the process by selling the Portland Trail Blazers in 2025, completing that deal in August. A major financial roadblock is now gone. A 10% state of Washington fee tied to Lumen Field funding no longer applies after May 2024. Interesting money angle to this as well that we're going to get to in a second, but we need to get to today's biggest fan. It is time for today's biggest fan, Frank. Congratulations, today's biggest fan, Jordan Andrews in San Diego. Jordan Andrews in San Diego. Give us a call within the next 10 minutes at 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973, and you'll qualify for our grand prize, 20 tickets for you and your friends for a night in our Odyssey Suite at a Padres game with all of the fan staff later this season, catered by Spiro's Mediterranean Cuisine. Remember to register your name at 973thefantasy.com/biggest-fan. Jordan Andrews in San Diego, you got 10 minutes. Got until about 1:15 to call in.
Jordan, I'm not putting any pressure on you, Jordan. We've been perfect this week.
There it is.
We're 3 for 3 this week.
There it is.
So, Jordan, not putting any pressure on you, but it'd be awesome if you called in.
It's time for the fake name generator. No, that's the Detroit Tigers roster. We've already discovered. All right, so back to the Seahawks here. Clay, way to go, Jordan/Jordan. Spelling it 2 different ways. The Seahawks are valued at $6.59 billion, according to Sportico, 14th highest in the NFL. Recent sales reset the market. Commanders got $6 billion when they sold, and the Broncos got $4.65 billion back in 2022 when they sold. NFL ownership rules require a 30% controlling owner, drastically limiting potential buyers to the ultra wealthy. That's interesting. Weren't we just kind of talking about that to an extent?
Where is my biggest question out of all this, I think, is on the lips of everyone else here as well. Where are they relocating to?
Right. Yeah, the team's for sale. They're going to relocate, right? Isn't that how this works?
Moving?
Aren't they moving the team now? Shouldn't they move the team to Portland? Then he's going to somebody to buy the team, move them. Maybe Lake can buy the Seahawks and move them to Oakland. Right? They need to. Right? Isn't that what they're going to do with the Padres? Interesting. News broke days before the Super Bowl. Some awkward timing on this. But those around the team don't expect it to be a meaningful distraction. Seattle has shown all season an ability to block out outside noise, and head coach Mike Macdonald has emphasized focus on internal control above all else. Players are used to Super Bowl media chaos. Ownership rumors are background noise compared to that. Well, yeah, of course. Like, it doesn't affect the Seahawks whatsoever. Unless they move to Oklahoma City, right? Just like the Seattle Supersonics.
Why is bro holding it? Okay.
A field goal in the background? It's the NFL,
dude.
A
chair with a
That's a
goal
game.
Post.
That's a game. You didn't know that?
No, I understand that, but he's holding it like he's holding it like he's got a sign on it, like he's trying to get a sign on television, but there's no sign.
One reason's up to something. They could move. Somebody could buy the Seahawks, move them to San Diego, and rename them the Seagulls. I mean, the San Diego Gulls might have a problem with that, but it's possible.
Heard Aberdeen, Washington is really, really nice this time of year.
They could move to Abbotsford.
Could do that.
They could do that. The Vancouver Seahawks. Jody Allen had has quiet influence with this, despite rarely appearing publicly or speaking to the media. She meets regularly with general manager John Schneider and head coach Mike Macdonald. Now he's moving around. He's just trying to be on everybody's shot.
I saw Cole Brooks comment in the chat.
Foul on derailing the show. Just to play off from the beginning part of today's show, where Frank is a big minor league supporter.
It's called a callback.
The San Diego Seahawkers.
Yeah, the San Diego Seahawkers.
Hear me out. He might be onto something. Just to kind of put this all back together.
I think this might be Chat's 5th foul today.
No, it's not. We haven't handed out that many fouls.
I think it is. Honestly.
It's not. You're trying to push it.
We handed out like 2 in the first segment. We've had a couple of other comments.
But we didn't hand out
fouls.
We haven't handed out fouls for all the comments.
No,
You've only hit the foul button a couple times. That's on you for not hitting it every time I say foul.
Okay. If that's the rule, then
they got
the
4.
rule.
Anyway. Jody Allen's she's very involved with the Seahawks. And so the scared part again is a new ownership might change what's going on with the Seahawks. I don't think, it's another situation where they're worth so much money that whoever's going to buy them is going to be invested in keeping the team in Seattle and spending money to make the team good. And in the NFL is different because everybody has to spend money because there's a salary cap. So I don't find this to be that big of news, but I do. Do you have the Mike Florio clip?
I do. Yes.
So he doesn't cuss in this, does he? I don't know why he would, but you never know.
Brother,
Mike Florio.
Sent it to me.
I don't know. Mike Florio used to have some pretty crazy blogs back in the day.
Oh.
Mike Florio was talked about some of this stuff, and he talked about how he believes that every NFL team should be publicly traded, and there should be the people that own the team. It's interesting comments. Here's what Mike Florio said from Pro Football Talk at Super Bowl Radio Row this week.
Because there are too many fan bases out there that are stuck because they got a bad owner, and until that owner sells the team or drops dead, they are. And then, who knows? It's going to be like Wizard of Oz. You drop a house on the Wicked Witch of the East, the Wicked Witch of the West could be even worse. The next owner may be even worse. You have no control over it. There's no oversight. There's no, proper practices. And look, I know corporate management has its flaws, but I think corporate management would be better than these $10 billion mom and pop food trucks, which is what a lot of the franchises are.
Mom and pop food trucks. He's calling out the Spanos family, by the way. That's part of that deal. Is it not?
I believe so. And that was from Front Office Sports on Twitter from the 3rd, so from Tuesday.
Publicly traded. Would you invest in your local NFL team? If the Giants were put on the market, would you buy a stock in the Giants?
Again, that also brings up the spiteful question of, let's say the Phillies went on the market. I'd be more inclined to buy the Phillies to try to tank them than I would to buy the Mets.
I don't know, but you would have to buy a ton of shares.
I agree.
It would never happen like that. I mean, and the people that still own the team would be billionaires that have tons of money. But the thing is, though, is you'd have the boards, and then you'd have buyouts, and you would have decisions to get people out of there like other corporations do. I don't necessarily know if it's a good thing for this. I think if you look at it from a positive standpoint, you'd be like, hey, like maybe this is a way that you can have some accountability with the fans and ownership groups. At the same time, then you run into some private equity problems, spiteful casings. But like, you look at some of the owners in football, and this is the whole argument about the owners again. Most of the owners that people don't like and point to as examples of ownership groups that don't do their job, those are the owners that inherit the team or bought them for a cheaper price than what teams are currently going for.
Speaking of teams, what teams are going for right now?
Yeah.
Shares for the Bravos are at $43.75.
Go ahead. You could go buy the Braves.
Yep, I could.
One paycheck at a time. Your great grandkids might be able to finally put it over the top, but you know what? You could. But I go back to the ownership. Mike Florio brings up a good point about some of the mom and pop teams. Those are the teams that have the biggest problem.
Pirates.
Right. And you look at the Spanos family. I mean, Dean Spanos inherited the team from his dad, who bought the team for, I think, like $12 million. I got to look up the official, sale, right? Or like whenever they bought the team. But I'm pretty sure they bought the team for like almost nothing in this day and age. When the Spanos family bought it from Eugene Klein and Sam Schulman in 1984. It was relatively nothing. But these are like the mom and pop type owners that he's talking about. He's not talking about the Steve Cohens of the world, the Steve Ballmerts of the world, right? The ones that have all this ridiculous amount of money and bought a team. He's talking about the ones that continue to just pass the team down generation after generation. So I got to see, like, how much did he buy the team for?
Wait a minute, did we miss something?
What?
This is from 10 months ago. This has to be. Hold on, I gotta check the legitimacy of this.
What are you looking at?
Saying that Spanos has sold the Chargers to a San Diego-based investment group led by Sean Merriman of all people. That was from last May.
They might have sold some shares of the team, which is possible. I know there's a lot of groups that were trying to, buy the Chargers down here, but I'm trying to. Jake Waters said 50 million-ish in 1984.
Clay's saying 70, so we got conflicting reports.
Yeah. Well, that Sportico says that Tom Gores purchased a 27% stake in late 2024 for $750 million.
Okay, so that's that.
That's probably what it was. I think the sister might have sold her shares or something like that in the team. But I digress on that. But he's talking about mom and pop shop type ownership groups. And those are honestly, as soon as they start selling, it's going to be a lot different when it comes to professional sports and the ownership groups that are in charge. Because the owners that are buying teams now are owners that want to, again, a lot of them want to spend money. They want to win. Not everyone, but that's the case. I'm interested to see what happens with the Seahawks here. But the NFL is different because they have a salary cap. This is another reason why you want a salary cap.
Dean Spanos did not personally buy the Chargers. His father, Alex Spanos, purchased a majority stake in the team in 1984 for approximately $48.3 million.
That's insane.
$48.3
million.
Alex Spanos turned over day-to-day operations to his son, Dean, in 1994.
And then the Chargers are worth like $3-4 billion now.
While the Spanos family maintains control, they recently sold a 27% stake in 2024 to investors Tom Gores at a $4 billion enterprise.
Wow. They, as Mike Florio is talking about, they want to get those. It'd be better for the league for those owners to be out, and owners that are in that want to win and want to make the league competitive and that want to treat their team like a toy. And I think you're going to slowly start getting some of these ownership groups out because the amount of money that they spent for the team when they originally bought it to what it is worth now, it means a lot to cash out. Like Jerry Jones is killing the Cowboys. That mom and pop shop, he did a great job from a business standpoint of things. I mean, his off-field stuff is what it is. And there might be a lot of people that don't like Jerry Jones, but from a business side, he made the Dallas Cowboys into a international renowned logo and entity. And he put the money into the stadium and all that other stuff. I mean, he made the Dallas Cowboys America's team, or he helped, continue the legacy of the Cowboys being America's team. And he's gotten a big boost from that, right? Mm-hmm. But he kills them in a sense of like trying to run the team at his age and be a general manager. And I don't think he's getting any better with his kids going to run the team. Same thing with the Spanos family. Same thing with the Bengals. You want to talk about an ownership group that sucks? The Brown family for the Bengals. The descendants of Paul Brown that run the Bengals now, mom and pop shop cluster. And once these families start selling their teams, because eventually there's going to be somebody that inherits the team that doesn't want the team and just wants to sell it and make billions of dollars because they inherited said team, and the family purchased the team for like $5 million. Once those happen, I think it's going to be better for the sports world. But it sounds like the Seahawks have been pretty good in this ownership, but it's in the will and the trust to sell the team after a certain amount of time, and the wife doesn't want to run the team anymore. And it sounds awfully familiar, Frank.
Yeah, it does. And it only makes you question how long until the Seahawks are out of Seattle.
That's right.
It's not like they have a legacy there or anything,
Selling tickets doesn't matter there. At least we care about the lease there too. I don't see any of the same arguments for the Seahawks. What's the difference? Oh, market size? Come on. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Tough one for the Toreros last night. Aztecs in action on Saturday. Take a quick look at college basketball when we return. San Diego FC doesn't ease into year two. It drives straight into the deep end. Tuesday night at Snapdragon Stadium, San Diego FC opens its 2026 campaign not in MLS play, but on the international stage in the CONCACAF Champions Cup against Liga MX's powerhouse Pumas Unam. This is where year two begins. Turnaround of a season, obviously, for San Diego FC in their first ever year. Just 65 days after their impressive season ended, they're going to start their new one on Tuesday night
Yeah, it's going to be a great contest, I'm sure. Snapdragon Stadium, you guys are hearing this after it's already been played. But again, what you're looking for tonight out of San Diego FC and going through the future runs of the CONCACAF Champions Cup is just look like the team that left the pitch at the end of last season. You're not expected to be as good. That was such a high bar to maintain. You're just looking to be roughly where you were at the end of last season as far as competitiveness is concerned. I think that would be a big win, regardless of the score.
And they're doing this obviously with the momentum of one of the most successful expansion seasons the MLS has ever seen. 63 points, 19 wins, first place in the Western Conference, one win away from an MLS Cup. That success has earned them a seat at the CONCACAF table, a tournament that historically hasn't been kind to MLS clubs. And that's why this conversation, again, when you hear this, when you see this, it's going to be after the results. But if it's a win for San Diego FC, that's great. And if it's a loss, there's a lot of other things to look forward to when talking about San Diego FC's football season this year. And a big reason is because of a lot of familiar faces on this team. And a big question of, this is no longer Chucky Lozano's team. This is now Anders Dreyer's team.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw how well Dreyer worked with Amal Pellegrino, who's now going to be taking up that spot that Chucky Lozano was in. You have changes on the back line. Guys like Pilcher and Bombino are going to be more of a focus this year, and they're very, very young. We saw how that inexperience and youth both helps and hurts you in the MLS Cup run last year. So I'm very, very excited to see how this new team is going to look, especially without what we anticipated being their face of the franchise for years to come, being a part of their plans.
Yeah, he was brought in here to be the face of the franchise, Chucky Lozano was, and now instead it's Anders Dreyer, who had 23 goals in 41 matches last year. He is now the face of the franchise. He's fresh off of a contract extension through at least 2028, 2029. Mikey Barras got a contract extension after year one. And it looks like they have finally solidified who they want to build their team around. And it kept a lot of the same players from last year. Cisniega is back in goal for San Diego FC. Ian Pilcher, as you mentioned, anchoring the back end. And then, of course, Anders Dreyer leading the attack. You know, as Anders Dreyer rose, the unfortunate truth is, and the very uncomfortable subplot was Chucky Lozano started to fade. After the locker room incident in October, Lozano was benched, then reduced to a sub role, and now San Diego FC plans to move on from its highest paid player. Very much a culture shift and not just a roster move when you think about Mikey Vargas getting the contract extension, Anders Dreyer getting the contract extension, and then the verbal confirmation that Chucky Lozano is not going to be part of the future plans.
Yeah, exactly. And also, Lozano got hurt at the beginning of the year, missed a couple weeks with, I believe it was a hamstring injury. So that obviously didn't help him either. May have been dealing with that for much of the season. But yeah, this is a club that is clearly, and this is how you know San Diego FC is set for long-term success, because they had a plan. That plan didn't work out, and they were quickly able to adjust and quickly able to pivot away from that plan without staying with it too long and just letting it bury the team. So the foundation is here for a long-term successful run here.
The match on Tuesday again against Punas Unum is a match that is in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And with this will be two games that will be played between San Diego FC and Punas Unum, one here in the United States, one down in Mexico. And it has different rules. I mean, it has the aggregate now. This is the first time that this team will deal with the aggregate. Plus, they have goals that count more when they're on the road. So whatever happens in the game on Tuesday, San Diego FC has an opportunity to still advance in their next game against Punas Unum when they go back down to Mexico. And this is kind of the fun part of being able to, after having a great season. We know how. College basketball coming up the rest of the week in town for San Diego. UCSD's got a game tonight, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes,
it is a Big West Thursday. Big West kind of dominates the Thursdays in terms of action for mid-majors.
Don't disrespect the Colonial.
We have a partnership with the Big West with UCSD, so don't disrespect the Big West, big dog. Big West is great. You know what the best part about the Colonial is, Frank? You get to watch it before the Big West. You got a doubleheader tonight if you want.
Exactly. I do have a doubleheader.
And then you can keep your tabs on USD women's basketball with me and Alex Miniak on the call.
Let's not get too crazy.
No, you'll put it on.
No, I won't. I've dealt with you for 4 hours. Another 2. I was just.
You like women's basketball?
I like women's basketball. I'm saying I can't deal with you for 6 hours. That's my thing.
You better listen to Alex Miniak.
Yeah, but he's not going to be talking nearly as much as you are.
I'd never be so sure. Tonight,
if I can get an insurance that Alex Miniak is going to talk more than you, then I will watch the game.
Your claims declined. Long Beach State, UCSD tonight. Long Beach State 8-15, 4-7 in the Big West. UCSD 15-8, 5-6 in the Big West. We talked about this on our weekly hit on UCSD athletics. If you are a UCSD alumni, if you're a UCSD fan, if you're a fan of San Diego State, USD, whatever college it may be, we do a weekly update for you in the sports world for each school specifically, and they are posted on our YouTube page. Only on the Braden Surprenant Show YouTube page at @B_SURP at @BSURP. Be sure to subscribe to us. We're trying to increase our subscriber list. We've got a lot of you now watching on the Braden Surprenant Show page, 20 of you in that chat. You can become a member over there as well. We're going to be coming up with some great membership perks in the next month or so, working on a bunch of different things behind the scenes. But one of the perks of being on the YouTube page, if you subscribe to us, subscribing is free. You'll be the first to be notified when we put out new content. And we put out new content once a week on the goals. We put new content out on San Diego FC. We put new content out on UCSD, USD, San Diego State. We have a new motorsports segment where Frank gets to talk about motorsports. We cover a lot of different stuff. NHL, NBA, most of the stuff that we don't have time to talk about on our airwaves. We have special content for niche audiences on the Braden Surprenant Show page. Get our takes on some of the biggest things trending in college sports and throughout, only on the Braden Surprenant Show YouTube page at @B_SURP. There is a link in the description below how to get there. Hit subscribe and you'll be able to access all of our videos. If you watch on YouTube, you can see a lot of these as we use as commercial breaks. So we really appreciate that. And if you have any things that you want us maybe to dive into, suggest it. We'd love to be able to do that with our content. We're going to do some more food stuff later on. We're working on a bunch of different ways to keep the content going for you guys. So you can go check that out. But as we talked about on UCSD's page, on our weekly update of UCSD, this is a very important game in the standings that keeps UCSD alive in the Big West scope of things, to try to win the conference. And right now they're really behind the 8 ball with where they sit. It was a tough couple of losses in a row. They've lost 3 in a row now. The Tritons have. They dropped down to 5-6. That's the bad news. The good news is they're still well within striking distance with some chaos to play themselves back into a better seed, but they got to be able to take care of business against Long Beach State, who's 4-7 in conference and 1 spot behind them in the standings, Frank.
Yeah, they do. And for this is a big game for UCSD to come back around. Again, I'm not sure if you mentioned it, I was working over here, but 8-15 overall for Long Beach State, 4-7 in the conference. You need to take care of business, especially at home against a team like this.
Yeah, they have to be able to do it. And so it's a very much a big game tonight for UCSD. USD lost last night to St. Mary's. That was, the score was as expected. They had the loss that hurt the most was against Oregon State over the last weekend. But as of right now, I think they got some help, if I'm not mistaken, when it comes to the overall standings of the West Coast Conference. They really needed, and I got to check to see what the final score was last night. But they really needed they didn't get any help. Washington State blew a lead against Oregon State, who has now come all the way back and beat Washington State by 10. So as the standings sit for the West Coast Conference, USD currently has a bye, but they need to play their way out of that first Thursday by finishing outside of the bottom 4. And right now, with the loss and with the Washington State losing to Oregon State, they find themselves in that particular category. But the good news is for USD, they got a couple of games against Portland, who you thought was going to be a great game for them, but Portland just knocked off Gonzaga. But it's Portland and LMU. You got 4 games against those two teams in particular, but they got to try to climb their way out of what is a little bit of a hole. But 4th place right now in the conference is 6-6.
Speaking of which, you just brought up Portland beating Gonzaga.
Yeah, upset. Massive.
That is a time
you can storm the court.
When storming the court is acceptable. Portland is god-awful. Gonzaga's ranked in the top 10. That is an acceptable time to storm the court. If you're Baylor storming the court against Michigan, you're a fool. You're an idiot. Stop. Portland, I would gladly eat that $5,000 fine for beating Gonzaga. That's acceptable.
Portland had like the flu running rampant around the school where most of the players were sick, and the head coach had to play a scout team, and he tore his Achilles. That was like 2 weeks ago.
The head coach tore his Achilles?
Yes, trying to do some scout team work, and then 2 weeks later they beat Gonzaga. Crazy.
It's like the U.S. beating the Russians at Lake Placid.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Got stomped. You got stomped by them 10-2 2 weeks before, and then you beat them.
No, look now, Santa Clara is in first place in the West Coast Conference. But as I mentioned, San Francisco's got the 4 seed, which means they have a bye up until Saturday in the West Coast Conference tournament. They're 6-6, tied with Pacific, tied with Oregon State, tied with Washington State, which is all, guess what, only a 2-game lead on San Diego, who's got 4 games against the bottom of the conference, as well as 1 more game against Oregon State and a game against San Francisco, 2 teams that they're chasing. Oh, and by the way, they already beat Washington State this year, and they split with Pacific. So San Diego's in a pretty good spot to try to climb the leaderboard a little bit, but they need to be able to take care of business on Saturday. We knew they were going to lose to St. Mary's. That was kind of expected for USD basketball, but they got to do some damage against LMU on Saturday when it comes to their overall standing. And they're going to get some help. Gonzaga's got Oregon State on Saturday. Oregon State's, after Gonzaga loses to Portland, I would hate to beat Oregon State right now.
All in.
100%. Santa Clara plays Washington State. Those are 2 teams that are 6-6 that are expected to lose. Oh, and by the way, San Francisco plays St. Mary's. So 3 out of the 4 schools that are 6-6 play better competition. The only difference is Pacific, who's got Pepperdine. This could be a big swing for San Diego if they can beat LMU on Saturday as kind of we round up men's college basketball in town. The other one, San Diego State's got Air Force. Air Force sucks. All right, they're not good. They're trying their best right now in the overall grand scheme of NIL and everything like that. They're a school that does not give out NIL because they are a military academy. They're doing the best with what they have. But San Diego State, that should be just a wiping the floor with Air Force on Saturday to continue to keep the pace at the top. New Mexico lost to Utah State this week.
Air Force is still missing their head coach as well, too.
Right. He is based on the suspended for like the way he treated the team or something like that.
Yeah,
we went over super
it.
Vague.
We went over it a couple weeks ago in the sports thread, but
so I don't want to spend too much time on San Diego State. They have the depth to go into Air Force, into Colorado Springs and win with Guath being out, with LZ Harrington being a walking boot. They should be able to wipe the floor with Air Force, but they've needed buzzer beaters to beat them before on the road. So they're going to get but it was different back then. Now with NIL and stuff, they should be able to just handle them. So
David Vu in the chat, I just threw out 2 random good teams. That wasn't a shot to Baylor. And Manny Aguilar, since you were so concerned, it was a piece of gum. There you go.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird hang up. I mean, it's the amount of steps that Frank has to do like to make that happen takes longer than just spitting out his gum. Anyway, I foul for throwing off my train of thought. I do want to mention this one time because we got to take a break. The WAC, which still technically exists, the Western Athletic Conference. You know about the WAC? Everybody knows about the WAC.
Yeah, I invented that one.
The WAC. I'm going to pretend like you didn't just say that. Statement from WAC Commissioner Rebecca Ray. Did you see this? Do you know the background on this? So Utah Valley is leaving the WAC to go to the Big West.
Okay.
Right? UCSD is leaving the Big West.
Yes, so
there's a lot of moving parts. So Utah Valley's going to the Big West. Utah Valley owes $1 million to the WAC for leaving an exit fee. Utah Valley has yet to pay the $1 million for the exit fee to go to the Big West. What the WAC has done, as they have now shut down all Utah Valley games from ESPN Plus. They will not be aired because they are not in compliance with the conference of being what they have determined as a member institution not in good standing. Here's the official press release from WAC Commissioner Rebecca Ray about Utah Valley's games not being on ESPN Plus now. Beginning today with the men's basketball game between Abilene Christian and Utah Valley, the Western Athletic Conference has removed all Utah Valley University home athletic contests from its broadcast schedule until further notice. These events will not be available for broadcast on ESPN Plus or otherwise. This action is required due to Utah Valley University's failure to meet its obligations under WAC bylaws, resulting in its status as a member institution not in good standing. The conference is obligated to enforce its bylaws and associated contractual requirements and remains open to discussion should Utah Valley University seek to resolve this matter. Amazing.
God, people are so petty, man.
They also have shut off replies on that particular tweet.
I couldn't imagine why.
By the WAC conference.
Wow.
Mid-major madness. The WAC is going scorched earth on Utah Valley.
Mid-major madness. If you're a fan of like small town universities, Mid-major madness is an incredible Twitter page to follow, by the way.
It is incredible. San Diego State has dropped to now a first four out team, by the way, on today's Joe Lenardi bracketology. New Mexico is a last four in team after they lost to Utah State. San Diego State has now dropped out to the second team that's a first four out. Make it make sense. We'll try to do that when we come back. We'll also preview the Super Bowl final segment of the week of the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. If you're looking for proof that the San Diego Gulls are growing up in real time, look no further than the last week. Points in 5 of the last 7 games, wins over Coachella Valley and Ontario, and now sitting 6th in the Pacific Division, right in the middle of the playoff fight. What they've done the last week, Wednesday against Tucson, they had a shootout loss, but points earned in the 4-3 shootout loss to the Tucson Roadrunners. It wasn't perfect, but important. Gulls grabbed a standings point in a tight division matchup. Ryan Carpenter opened the scoring with his first power play goal of the season, a big deal for a unit that has not been that consistent. Goals for Sidorov and Pitry as solid contributions across the lineup. Callie Kling stopped 23 of 26 and went 8 for 10 in the shootout. And Coach McCalvin summed it up best. Bad 5 minutes cost them in the extra point, and those are the details they're still learning to clean up. But it's good to see them adjust on the power play, Frank.
Yeah, exactly. That was one of the main focus points that we had in last week's update was the power play not working out for them and having them and causing problems. But yeah, I mean, and that just goes to show Coach McIlvain saying it, 5 bad minutes cost you a game. It's true in every sport. You need to be on for all 60 minutes if you want to take a W.
Then last Friday at Coachella Valley, statement road win. They won 4-3. This one definitely mattered. Points in 4 of the last 6 games at that point. Sidorov exploded, 2 goals, 1 assist, now 6 points in 5 games. Caulfield matched his AHL career high with his 11th goal. Solberg with a power play goal, rookie defenseman leading the goals. Blue liners in goals. Massive moment was Sechanik's first AHL win since returning from a torn ACL. This felt like a belief game for the San Diego Gulls.
Yeah, absolutely. Coachella Valley has been one of the better teams in the West so far this season in the AHL. So to get a win on the road against a high-quality opponent such as Coachella Valley, absolutely huge for confidence with a young team learning and growing.
And then on Saturday, a big win against Ontario, very much a turning point win against the Ontario Reign. They had a sellout crowd at Pechanga Arena, 12,920, one of the biggest nights in franchise history. Goals beat the second place Ontario Reign with a goal with 17 seconds left. Nathan Gauthier with his first career game winner. Judd Caulfield stayed red hot, 3 points, 6 points in 3 points, 6 points in 3 games. Callie Klein earned his 10th win, now 10-3-2 in his last 16 starts. This wasn't just a win, it was a message sent to the AHL that the goals are coming back.
Yeah, exactly. And especially with that record with Callie Klang, 10-3-2 in his last 16 starts. I mean, that is absolutely massive. A great run for a goaltender to be on, and for it to come against a team like the Ontario Reign, who is the AHL affiliate to the LA Kings. So you have that LA Anaheim rivalry in between Ontario and San Diego. That is a huge, huge win. And to do it in dramatic fashion, too, scoring in the final seconds of the game, it's very hard to beat that level of excitement.
Here's the Pacific Division reality. The Gulls, 49 points. They're in 6th place. The top 7 make the AHL playoffs in the Pacific Division. Only 11 points out of first place behind Colorado. 1 point ahead of Tucson, 6 ahead of Henderson. They've earned points in 16 of the last 24 games. Goal differential is basically even. This team lives in tight games. This is no longer about hanging around. This is a playoff team right now. They're in a playoff spot. And a roster note that matters, Sam Colangelo's back. He's been reassigned to San Diego. 16 points in 23 AHL games this season. Former Gulls goal leader, all-star point-per-game rookie last year, adds legit top 6 scoring and power play finishing. Huge boost heading into the stretch run. And again, when talking about Sam Colangelo, this is a guy that doesn't have a spot right now with the Anaheim Ducks, and it shows how successful the Ducks are, and now leading to the Gulls having better players stick around for longer.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we talked about when we had Matt McIlvaine on at the beginning of this season, is guys that are good enough, definitely good enough to play in San Diego, are having a hard time sticking around in Anaheim. And that's not because they're not good enough. It's because they just don't have the spot for them. And Sam Colangelo right now definitely fits that bill. He has spent some time up with the NHL squad in Anaheim, but just has not been able to stick. So Colangelo gets to come back to San Diego and help push the Gulls towards a playoff run.
Upcoming games this week versus Henderson at home, but then next week, and we'll talk about it more next week, 2 games against Bakersfield, one on the road, 1 at home. Those are 4-point swings, but the Gulls playing really good hockey right now and creeping their way up the leaderboard, only 11 points out of first place. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. We also want to mention that all of our guests join us on the David P. Shapiro fan hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys helping good people regain control of their future when charged with the crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. We're starting to get all the preseason picks to win conferences for college baseball, which means we're closer to baseball season. Next weekend, first weekend in college baseball. Can't wait.
Forget, I think it was 2 years ago. I was so ready for baseball season to start that I was watching Hofstra versus Manhattan at Manhattan in the middle of the day. I was scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Well, guess what? You can watch all the Toreros games now on ESPN Plus.
I can.
you can also listen to it at usdtrails.com.
Son of a gun.
Shameless plug.
Which one are you on?
Both.
That's unfortunate.
I think I have a color analyst this year for the first time, which is nice.
Could have asked. I would have done it.
They wanted to do it for free, I guess. I don't know.
I would have.
I didn't make the call. They asked USD. Ask them. One of the professors, her husband used to play baseball or something like that. So he wanted to get involved.
I see.
Hey man, I don't make the prices. College baseball this next weekend. You got the Aztecs hosting Long Island. Did you know that?
Sharks?
Yeah, Sharks are in town. You gonna go watch the Sharks play? Tony Gwynn Stadium, February 13th, 14th, and 15th.
Yeah, I may as well.
It's a 6 o'clock game on Friday of next week. It's a 5 o'clock game on Saturday and a 1 o'clock game on Sunday.
You got a better chance if you get into the Friday game.
Friday the 13th game. So that's where that is at. UCSD opens up at the number 1 team in the country at UCLA.
Yeah.
You can watch that on Big Ten Plus.
Yeah, I'm not paying for that.
So there's that.
As the commissioner of the league, well, not a PR guy for the league, I should get Big Ten Plus for free, but I don't. So that's on them.
I'd agree with that, to be honest with you. So UCSD opens up at UCLA. San Diego State opens up hosting Long Island. And USD will start their season on the road. They will play at Charlotte next weekend, and then they will be at Long Beach State next Tuesday.
The Niners, right?
Yes, they are the 49ers. That is correct. So that is the college baseball stance.
We're playing the Jesse Agler, Tony Gwynn Jr. game. Guess the mascot.
Guess the mascot?
Yeah, whenever. You don't listen to games on the station, clearly.
I do, just not to that detail.
Anytime Jesse will bring up a school where the guy came from, Tony would always guess what the name of the team is.
Name of the team. They are the 49ers. You got the Sharks right.
I got the Sharks.
Well, I don't even want to waste my time with the Bruins for UCLA. How about that? I don't think there's a lot of difficult ones for USD on their schedule this year.
Oh, let's see. It's a nice way to kill off the last show of the week.
You don't want me to talk about Tom Brady being him upsetting the entire fan base of the New England Patriots?
That's cool. Yeah, I saw that. I saw Asante Samuel's giving Tom Brady an ultimatum.
USD's baseball schedule is easy for this. At Charlotte to start. We already talked about that. At Long Beach State.
The beach?
No, not in baseball.
Oh, it's not. Okay, well, that's stupid.
They're the Dirtbags.
Oh, for God's sake.
It's way better. It makes sense.
I agree.
Baseball team's the Dirtbags.
I agree, but one mascot for the school. Like, what are we doing here?
They also used to be the 49ers, but
like Aztecs, Lady Aztecs. I get that. Like that's
Dirtbags for baseball is fine. Utah, easy.
Utes.
Western Michigan.
Broncos.
Omaha.
Set hike.
No. I actually know this one because I've done one of their games before.
The old
University of Omaha or Omaha University, whatever it is.
I don't. That one I don't know.
Maybe the Mavericks.
Okay.
Creighton.
Blue Jays.
Yeah, the Jays, but yeah.
Yeah.
San Diego State. No. UCSD, you got it. Michigan. Easy.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
Oh, the Wolverines.
Cal.
Golden Bears.
Mm-hmm. USC.
Trojans.
Oregon State.
The Beavers.
Gonzaga.
Bulldogs.
Cal State Fullerton.
Titans.
What's their mascot's name?
Someone who's never been in my kitchen.
Tuffy.
That's cool.
Tuffy the Titan. He's an elephant. Pepperdine.
Wave.
Santa Clara. Come on, man. Got another West Coast Conference.
Yeah, I know. Relax. Calm yourself. I don't remember. I want to say Broncos. But
Broncos is correct.
Oh, it was right.
Right.
Okay.
UC Irvine. Rip them, buddy. Rip them. Rip them.
Dude.
Starts with an A.
Oh, the Anteaters.
The Anteaters. Come on, dude. San Francisco.
That's the.
You're not
Are they the
very
49ers
good at.
also?
No, they're
No.
not. That would be their football team. Is the 49ers?
Well, no, I know.
University of San Francisco are the
Miners?
No.
I don't know.
The Dons. They're
the Dons. Sorry.
Cal State Fullerton, again, already been over that. What about Seattle? Fresh in the West Coast Conference.
I do not know.
That'd be the Red Hawks.
Yes, it is the Red Hawks.
Did you watch one of their game? They had a giant Red Hawk at the corner of their high school gym that they play in?
No, I should have known that because I misspelled it in the
Nice.
on our sheet
Nice.
as the Reed Hawks, and I sent you a bunch of AI images of the Reed.
That's right.
The Reed Hawks. I should have known that one. Yes,
St. Mary's.
St. Mary's, the Gales.
Gales. You just typed that today on the sheet.
I did. That's why I was like, no, is the wait a minute.
Portland.
I typed a couple. Oh, Timbers is the MLS team.
That is the MLS team.
The Portland fines. $5,000 fines. I don't know.
The Pilots.
Okay, that makes sense.
We talked about Irvine already. Pacific. You are really not good at this game, are you?
Tigers?
Yes. Wow.
Hey, there you go. See?
LMU.
Monarchs. No. No.
You're close.
The Lions.
The Lions. Wow. Hey, how about it? Do you want to go through San Diego State's schedule? I mean,
we've
this
only
is
got
actually more difficult than I thought.
2 minutes.
I was going to preview the Super Bowl, but I don't know. I think the Seahawks are going to win.
Yesterday.
I think the Seahawks are going to win by
multiple
touchdowns.
And I think they have Ric Flair on doing a television.
Stop it!
commercial.
Don't stop getting distracted. San Diego State schedule. We talked about Omaha, BYU.
Cougars.
Yes, good. These teams are all in the same thing. Washington. They're at Washington for 4.
Huskies.
Yep. We talked about Long Beach State. Talked about St. Mary's. Talked about Fullerton. Washington State.
Cougars.
USC did it already.
Mm-hmm.
San Jose State.
Spartans.
UConn.
Huskies.
Grand Canyon.
Lopes.
Good.
Antelopes.
Arizona State.
Sun Devils.
Air Force.
Falcons.
UC Riverside.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they're the Highlanders. I think they're the Highland. Yep, Scotty Highlanders, their mascot.
Okay.
They're the Highlanders. New Mexico.
Lobos.
Seattle U's on here again.
Reed Hawks.
The Reed Hawks. CSUN. Don't call us Cal State Northridge. CSUN.
Matadors.
Yes. Fresno State.
Bulldogs.
Nevada.
Wolfpack.
Good. UNLV.
Rebels.
Okay. Do you want to? We have time for the UCSD schedule?
Go for it. Why not?
Well, you already started off with UCLA.
Yeah.
Okay. They're the Bruins.
Yeah.
Nice. They're playing in the same tournament here, the Tony Gwynn Legacy. So those are all the same. Louisiana. University of Louisiana. They dropped Lafayette. They're just Louisiana now.
Raging Cajun.
Raging Cajuns. Cincinnati.
Bearcats.
Spell with a C or a K for cats?
That's a C.
That's a C. Who spells it with a K? Sam Houston State.
Yeah,
does.
that's the one.
Oregon.
Quackers.
UC Davis.
I don't know.
Aggies.
Okay.
What is your success rate? Is almost as bad as Puxatawny Phil's. Hawaii.
Rainbow Warriors.
UC Santa Barbara.
It's the Santa Clara.
Come on, we got to make it through.
I don't know.
The Gauchos.
Gaucho.
That's Cal Poly.
I don't know.
Mustangs. Cal State Bakersfield.
The pressure's on now.
Cal State Bakersfield.
I don't know.
Roadrunners.
Word of the day, honkers.
You fail.
I did.
That was not great.
No, it was not.
We'll try it again next week. For Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant. Gwen and Chris coming up next. Enjoy your Super Bowl weekend. We'll talk to you guys on Monday.